Hello and welcome to Kefka Grand Prix, round 4 out of 5. My cat has apparently decided to choose this exact moment to start playing with a squeaky toy. So maybe you can hear that, maybe you can't. I am joined here in the booth by Javinator. How are you doing, sir?
I am doing just fine this evening, Mr. Entity. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing okay. Looking forward to the race. Should be an interesting one.
Yes, it should be. Having gone through it ourselves, I know that we have feelings about it.
Oh, such
Um,
feelings.
I was just going to talk a little bit about some of the interesting flags, not go through the whole list, but um,
Absolutely.
10 character, 10 Esper, 4 dragons, as you can see from the tracking markers. They are unscaled dragons, so nobody will be taking those dragon fights too early, hopefully. It is a naked start, which means none of the characters start with any items whatsoever, which is important and can factor into early strategies. It's a 2 character start. Scale random abilities on enemies, which means you're going to see familiar bosses casting unfamiliar stuff. And there are no free paladin shields. So if anybody ends up getting a paladin shield, they uncurse the shield from a lock check at some point.
Yep, and Ultima is interestingly available for once, so that Paladin Shield might be very useful, more so than it usually is. But I'm going to quit out of the room here and give our racers their 10-second heads up. And for once, try to remember to start the timer.
So it's always interesting talking in these races because we've done them before. Usually, when we do the Saturday community races on Randomania, we don't know the outcomes ahead of time, but in this case, we do. And our wonderful tracker, Ceiling Cat, has put together a nice tracking sheet for us. But we can talk about some stuff that's going to happen before it happens.
Yeah, we have both run this with varying levels of success, as have many other people, so we know a lot of what's gonna happen in the early stages, certainly. Uh, might help if I gave the people some volume.
Yeah, so this is, as everybody can see, I start with the Yeti Umaro, which always mixed feelings on that. Some people love the Yeti starts. I don't know why. I'm not a huge fan myself.
Umaro can be very useful at the start. He comes with a snow muffler, so starting naked removes a bunch of his utility and excellence. But he does have the ignore defense big ol' I have amazing vigor attack, so that can get you through some early issues.
Yeah, there's also Blizzard Orb for sale, and we actually just saw Asherin pick up a free Blizzard Orb in one of the Narsh starter house rooms, which can definitely add a different utility that you don't see as often with the Storm cast by Umaro.
Absolutely. Another thing it does that doesn't really matter in vanilla, but in this game, with the randomized equipment abilities, you can put on uh, that relic on any character that can equip it, and it will absorb ice and no fire.
Yeah, it can also be a nice little handy magic boost. It's not massive, but it can definitely make a little bit of a difference if you don't have earrings or if you have a magic user you're trying to get ready for some Merton strats and you don't have anything else for them to equip. It can still be a useful utility piece.
Yeah, seem to be getting a bit of chunkiness from Kirito's stream there, but we'll see if that clears up as we go forward. Mostly seeing a bunch of standard looting, aside from Nobody War, who has gone to one of the least checked chests in the game in the weird old Coliseum man's house and found a gold hat, which is not worth the time. Although, starting naked, you often do wind up with slots that you just can't fill.
Yeah, I'd say starting naked is the only time that I find myself shopping for things that I would never be shopping for. Buying myself simple little hats, buying myself iron armor, anything to fill those spots.
Yeah, that can often happen. I think this seed was fairly generous with the standard looting pattern available treasures, in terms of, just making sure your characters at least had clothes on.
Which we always generally appreciate.
Yep. we do have a policy of no nudity on this stream, so gotta keep within those Twitch terms and conditions.
Keeping it PG for the community. So with Umaro and Edgar start, we don't have too many checks available. There's pretty much 5 things they can do right now. Well, I guess 6 if you count Try Talk, but they can go to World of Ruin, Narsh, and head up there and do those 2 checks. They can do any of Edgar's 3 checks, which are the throne, the basement, and the ancient castle.
Yeah, usually done in a sequence, but nobody war has taken the advanced route of checking what's in there immediately. So presumably see that rewarded momentarily.
And you know, I get that. Actually, I've personally adopted that strategy myself a little bit, and it's generally been working pretty well.
Yeah, especially with an Umaro start, the ancient castle route takes a while, and Umaro's checks have 2 bosses, and you kind of want a warp stone to get out of there. So if you can get a character out of the throne in the World of Balance, and check other shops where you have a 50% discount, can often save you some time or get you some items that other people might not find.
Definitely. I believe we know that warp stones are for sale in the airship shop, so we'll see if anybody finds those to make some of those long walk checks a little bit faster.
Asherin apparently accidentally talking to that man who tells you about spring shoes, which is unfortunate. Also noticing that Kirito seems to be walking everywhere when we have auto sprint. I've been looking at it, and that's not the game moving slowly. You can tell from the wheel spinning and stuff that they've just elected to walk everywhere for some reason. So,
interesting choice.
Yes.
We'll have to ask about that in the interview if we get a chance.
Absolutely, because that's something I have not seen anyone do before. And we are seeing Siberian Bull. I think it's Siberian Bull that has the standard I'm not going to wear a Moogle Champ for most of the game strategy. So, some fights already, or they just forgot to put it on.
And it was either a forget or they just wanted that one fight to get a few levels. I know sometimes I'll do that, especially if the scaling is low and you haven't picked anything up yet. And it really only takes a few fights to get up there, but until you've actually learned some spells or skills, just physically attacking isn't good enough typically, so I usually try to do a little more than a single fight, unless you find some other stuff to make the fights go a little easier.
Well, in this case, rods and shields and balls are all purchasable in the shop, so one could buy a solution if they wanted to go out of their way for it. Nobody more picking up Palador there from the Tizen Thiefy guy. I seem to recall that being a decent Esper. And Kirito taking the long, slow walk to the Elder's house to check what's in this clock, which I don't know. It's a tent. I'll save you $1,000.
There you go. I'm always buying tents.
Yep.
So it will be a lot of standard looting here at the start, but it'll be interesting to see who takes checks first and what checks they take. Because without giving too much away, this is absolutely a funneled seed. And it might just be... It is a horrendous start. There's some very difficult fights coming up. And basically one path that actually leads to some meaningful progression with a horrible fight behind it. So we'll see who finds those fights early enough and who's able to actually take them.
Yep. One very notable thing that we're probably going to see here in a minute once people start checking these shops in South Figaro is that there are Valiant knives and offerings that are just purchasable. And that seems to have been the strat that a lot of people have used, from what I can tell in the spoilers, to a greater or lesser extent.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see who attempts to get that early by selling everything. I find, especially in a naked start like this, you really have to be careful because you need some money to equip your people, potentially. And while that is a good strategy, it's not a great strategy at like level 3 or level 7.
The Valiant Knife strat also isn't the greatest at the start of the game. you kind of need to build up some levels to do some damage, just like with most other physical strategies.
Absolutely.
But Gigantos for Siberian Bull, as is usually mentioned when this comes up, the most number of XP per enemy level of any enemy in the game. So
yeah,
always
as
nice
long
to
as
find.
you can. Yes, absolutely. As long as you can tank the physical hits, which Edgar wielding a Thunder Shield, which is a nice early pickup, and Umaro just having high defense, not too much of a hassle in this seed, thankfully.
Yep, there's some Warp Stones for Asherin. Those will be quite helpful for at least one of the starting checks, and some further checks down the line. Always want to try to find those. I think 5 will get you through basically anything where it's a major time saver, but even just using them to save a few seconds here and there can be important for some racers.
Yeah, I find them handy too if you can't find any smoke bombs, especially with a flag set like this where you have escapable all. If you're doing any of those forced encounter checks, it can be really handy to warp out of really bad fights. Yes, you can run, but that takes an extra few turns. You may take a hit. You might have to res somebody.
And if it's that couple of ninjas and that lady, you got like 2 seconds to get out of that fight before they start hucking knives at you.
Yeah, those are dangerous at pretty much any point you fight them.
Yeah, they're one of the worst encounters in the game. We have seen Siberian Bull up in Nash. Has found the offerings for sale. Not sure they found the Valiant Knives yet. Hard to tell, because a lot of the time people open shops for like a split second.
Right. Well, we've got Nobody War who's picked up 2 Espers, which is good, and Kirito has picked up 1. None of the particularly difficult checks have been attempted yet. Of course, the racers don't know what is difficult and what is not.
And they're not going to have a nice time no matter which direction they go.
Absolutely. The question from the chat, who's winning and how do you know? So next to each of the game displays that you can see, there is a little tracker that shows an Esper, a character, and a little dragon. And the numbers below those, which you'll see are 10, 10, 4, that actually shows how many of those things a player needs to collect before they can enter Kefka's Tower, which is the kind of the final dungeon of the game, and proceed through that and beat the final boss. So generally you can see by the counts there who's, quote, winning and who's not. Now that's not an absolute thing because sometimes people could be going through really quick checks, but they'll have to do longer stuff later. But it's generally a pretty good indication.
That being said, it is very early in the race, so not really anyone particularly in the lead at the moment. Technically, yes, but I wouldn't even vaguely try to call it at this point.
Yeah, I agree. As we've kind of alluded to, not subtly a few times now, there are a few very difficult checks, and I think it's really going to be whoever can kind of get through those checks fastest is going to have a significant advantage over others who might wipe 2 or 3 times on it.
Yeah.
Hopefully only 2 or 3 times.
Kirito has found the Valiant Knives, but does not have the nearly maximum amount of money possibly required for an item to purchase it.
Yeah, they're always bittersweet to find.
That was my issue with this seed. I knew my solution within 10 minutes. There's a screen we don't see very often, all the Moogles. Siberian Bull going through the Narsh caves to pick up some extra chests. But yeah, I knew there were offerings and Valiant Knives within 10 minutes, and I spent most of the rest of the game just hoping for money. And the game wasn't very generous with money in this one.
No, it was not. Interestingly, Asherin finding Rage Ring and Hero Ring in Nikia, with Umaro, Rage Ring is potentially a pretty valuable pickup, and so he's grabbed that.
Yep.
And he's going with dual Rage Ring and Blizzard Orb, which is an interesting strategy.
I mean, that is kind of the standard vanilla play for Umaro. You find the 2 things he can use and you put them on him.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about splitting it. I kind of like going the other way with it and picking one of those 2 ways. If you slap the Rage Ring on him, then maybe give him an Atlas Armlet or a Hyper Wrist. Or on the other side, if you give him a Blizzard Orb, maybe considering giving him some earrings.
Oh yeah,
And make
once you know
those
how
things
the
more
game
powerful.
works, those are both better solutions. But, you know, when you're 8 years old and you're playing this game, you don't know what you're doing. You just go, ooh, a thing only the Yeti can equip, and you put them on them.
So remember that 8-year-olds, smarten up.
Yeah. Grow up already. Also, it's probably past your bedtime. So, go to bed.
Alright, so still lots of looting, lots of checks, lots of shops. Everybody's seeming to be avoiding the tough checks, but we're definitely going to be seeing, I think... Yeah, we finally see Nobody War going for the Edgar basement check here. So we'll see how he fares there.
I'm still so confused by what's going on Kirito's screen.
I think there is a combination of some stream lag there, unfortunately. But, yes.
Yeah, hard to say what's going on there. But, everyone else doing some runs. Nobody War finding a Dante in a forest somehow. World of Ruined Forest, maybe just wants some levels, maybe opting for a grind.
Yeah, I don't think Nobody War has done any grinding yet, and I have to agree with the play in general. I wouldn't want to be going into a check blind at level 3. Not sure if he picked up any of the available rods or anything like that.
Oh, the death proc.
Not
Very
ideal
nice.
against the Dante.
Nope. And while we have our runners just kind of running around looting stuff, we are running a little survey. Trying to improve the restream, make some changes in the near future. So if anyone wants to take, a couple minutes and fill that out, that would be super helpful. Because
Yeah.
we've got some opinions in the staff rooms, but nobody's really got any reasons to do anything specific. So getting some feedback from the people who actually watch it, very helpful to us. So very much appreciated if you could take a minute to do that. Another Dante for Nobody War. Still holding those Doom darts.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he goes for in terms of levels here. Personally, I like to be somewhere around 10 or 12 if possible, but it really is dependent on the seed and what it's given me.
Yeah, it's
given me.
Also dependent on the person playing. Like if it's Jack, he probably wouldn't even do looting. He'd just run at stuff. If it's me, I very rarely grind. Or if I do, it'd be later in the seed when you can get experience more efficiently. But there are people, like apparently Nobody War, who take the route of those early levels are gonna get me a bunch of time saved in the future, which is true. It's just a variance of approach.
Now, we did see him swap the Flame Shield and Thunder Shields on Edgar, so he could just be trying to teach him the magic as well, which I have to say is a smart play at this stage.
Yeah, if you have the ability to learn magic, it's nice to have more than one element, and, if you have any plans on breaking the shields further into the seed, it's nice to actually have learned the spell off, in case you don't find any actual spells. Which is a thing that happens sometimes.
Absolutely.
Asherin taking a fight here in the caves with some Malagas, which is one of the most confusing sprites in the game to me. It's hard to tell with it kind of small like that, but the place where its face is 100% not where I ever thought the face was until I actually stopped and looked at it real hard.
Kind of a scorpion with a lobster claw tail. I think.
A crab with one arm going back over the top of the head to the front. It's an odd position. There's Cure 3 on that Siren Esper that Nobody War has found.
And definitely a useful magic +1.
Yeah.
Edgar's not typically a magic user, but getting that early magic +1 can make him a lot more viable. Especially in a seed like this where you don't know where your next character is going to come from, and he's your only source of magic because Umaro is Umaro.
Yeah, I'm trying to send a message here to Kirito, since the chat seems to have found out that his entire game's just running at half speed.
Yeah, I've had that with streams when they're not going very successfully. Sometimes the stream itself is just slow, but hopefully that's the case with him, and he's not actually having issues with his emulator. Okay, we do actually see Asherin. Somebody is entering the Figaro basement check, so we are going to see somebody go for a boss check now.
That'll be nice. There are also a dragon down here. I believe Nobody War is the one that went to Figaro World of Balance, so he won't be stopping in the middle unless he wants to check even more shops that are half price.
Yeah, it can be. Sometimes it's nice to pop your head up above the ground and get that free heal if you need it, if you're planning to fight the dragon. Since the dragons are unscaled, I sure hope nobody is planning that, or they're going to learn a very quick lesson.
Yeah, I ran into the dragon once because I forgot they weren't scaled, and then once by accident, so that was a solid chunk of time lost. Takes a while to run through the ancient cave.
So we see Siberian Bull making a little bit of an error here. He might not know about it, but he's actually got Umaro leading his party while in World of Ruin South Figaro, and so he's seeing full price items here, which is very unfortunate because this shop is selling Thunder Rods and Pearl Rods. And if you have Edgar leading your party in South Figaro World of Ruin, items are half price, and these items become much more affordable.
Yep, I think a lot of the people who did well in this week's KGP bought a lot of rods there. I was a bit stingy on that. I only bought a couple, trying to save all my money for those ludicrously expensive Valiant Knife offering combos. And while that did work out for me, I didn't get a very good time, so it'll be interesting to see how much people rely on those in the restream here. 2 simultaneous whelks on a bed of tentacles. And a nice side of garlic butter.
Not who you want to necessarily run into with the mandatory Umaro on your team. Luckily, it's one of the easier bosses in the game, so as long as you can keep Umaro a little bit under control, you should be able to get through this fight okay, but we did just see him go down on Asherin's screen, which I guess is one way to keep him in control.
Yeah, Kirito apparently trying to check a pot that doesn't have a chest in it there. They might be going for the hotel. One thing about this Welk, I'm sure most people know that if you hit it in the Gru hole, it will counter, but if you only ever use Thunder, it can't. This is the problem, though, with having Umaro. You can't control him. He'll just hit it right in the Gru hole every time.
Yeah, luckily Nobody War and Asherin seem to have both have taken the same strategy of let the Yeti die.
That is the correct strategy. And some people would say that's the correct strategy for the whole game. But I think Umaro gets a lot more hate than he deserves. He has his uses.
I agree. Sometimes he sticks out and does something annoying, but I honestly find him a lot more useful than not useful. But I used to run him in Kefka's Tower, and I've definitely come around on the almost anyone is better than he is camp.
Oh, for Kefka's Tower, 100% most of the time, yes.
Although we will see whether these players pick up a mostly useless Gao, who I definitely left on the bench for Umaro.
In this seed, I'm pretty sure I took Gao straight the way through. He had Morph, right?
True, he did have Morph, so you could teach him the spells, and you can use the rods.
Yeah, Morph is it seems to be like vastly overlooked in the restreams. We will often see people not even use it as they go through the game. It's a ridiculously powerful ability. It doubles your magic attack and your physical attacks. I think it does something to your defense, but that's not the part that matters. You can take a middling character and have them do pretty close to max damage.
That is very true, and coupled with the rod strategy here, that can actually be a very viable strat. And we have a third racer approaching the Welk check. I have a feeling, given the nature of this seed, we're going to see a lot of parallel checks here,
Yeah.
which is interesting, to be honest, to see how the different racers handle the different situations.
So, this is an interesting play from Asherin with the jump command. Waiting for that Welk to come out of his grew hole, but jump takes quite a while to land. So this has the possibility of A, just generally taking a while, and B, not being helpful and just landing on the ship. Not a situation I would want to be in. Same with Nobody War, who is slowed with one character, but he does at least have a couple level 2 spells. If I was him, I'd probably be breaking shields at it. Welk, if you don't have the offense to get through it, can just be a massive hassle.
I do like the strategy we see Siberian Bull taking, which is having Edgar Runic, because the Yeti is inevitably going to attack the shell, and most of the things that the shell is casting are runicable. So that is I like that strategy from Siberian.
Yeah, were it not random scaling, I probably would have gone for that strategy myself, but the Welk can do basically anything. Who knows? I think that's what killed me, was some missiles and the other thing that is also missiles.
Yes, sir. It can be a little bit random when you pick these scaled random. Very hard to actually plan for.
Yeah.
We see Asherin did make it through, though, successfully, which is good, and Nobody War also just cracked the Welk.
Asherin going to check the shops. Has not moved Edgar into the front of his party, which will cost him some money if he elects to buy anything.
Indeed it will.
And
so I wonder what
the Cure 3 Siren Esper. Go ahead.
So what's your opinion on the early pickup of the Palador Esper in Sen in a seed like this?
My money was all earmarked. As soon as I visited Nash in South Figaro, I went, I don't really have the money for this. I'll buy it later if I have to. Also, in a seed where you're looking for 10 characters, that's a lot. You're probably going to wind up with extra Espers. I would not be super concerned about buying an Esper that early. And in the case of this seed, I don't think it even worked out particularly. I don't remember Palador having good spells.
I only saw it for a second on Nobody War's screen, and I saw Haste, which is not something you want to find. I don't remember what the second one was.
Yeah, I don't remember ever putting it on, so... Oh, I think it has HP plus 10% or something, so I probably used it for a bit. To go with those offering Valiant notes.
I will say that with the way the scaling is, I don't like it necessarily as an early pickup, because you know it's only going to be an Esper at best, and that might not be where you want to be generating your scaling from, as opposed to the actual checks themselves.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's a free check, but in progress times X, you don't necessarily want to find free things before you get some characters or some levels. Siberian Bull holding a Pearl Lance on his Edgar there. And it's time for epilepsy time. So everybody enjoy that, and when you're done writhing around on the floor, you can come back. We'll still be here.
Theoretically. So we do see Asherin and Nobody War now going for the Ancient Castle check, and this is kind of what we figured, is doing these checks in a row, especially with the limited options. So can't fault the play, makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of us did the same thing.
Kind of standard play for Edgar getting. If you're going to do his checks, you're usually going to do all of them. You might take the throne in the World of Balance, just to see if you get a way to not have to do the Ancient Castle, or at least not for a while, when you can maybe kill the dragon, because it does take quite a while to get through there. But,
yeah, indeed it does.
You know, if you're gonna go through the process of getting the castle out of the dirt, then you're probably gonna do the ancient castle as well.
Yeah, there's all that running that's associated as well, so it's not even something that's great to check after the fact because you have to waste all the time running through the desert to get to and from the airship if you're going to separate those checks.
Yeah, that's also a valid point. It takes a while to even get to the part where you can start the check. Because airships don't like sand, apparently. Not sure why.
Yep.
It's not like they're a terrain-based vehicle. But, you know, I didn't invent the rules of the game.
Yeah, I trust the mythical video game engineers to be making the right choices here.
I don't think they're mythical. I'm pretty sure they exist.
I don't have a comment for that statement.
Alright then. Let's just move on.
Indeed.
Asherin making a bit of a boo-boo there with his movement.
Yeah, Ancient Castle's a funny, or Ancient Cave and Ancient Castle is kind of a funny one, right? Oh, you meant, sorry, I'm a little bit delayed from you. I also do that all the time when something exits up. I want to keep holding
I meant
up.
when he walked to the left into a place that didn't exist. But yeah, it is a weird routing environment. The fastest way to do it is not obvious. It involves going through secret doors and stuff. Secret little passages. But there's also, you don't really get any treasure if you take the fastest route, so there's a choice to be made there.
Indeed, yeah, there is a way to get through there kind of so you take one path on the way in and one path on the way out, and you can snag all of the treasures, but as with all of the treasures, anything you go for adds a little bit of time. So when you're racing, you do have to be cognizant of what treasures are worth getting and what ones aren't, and try and find that balance between looting and playing.
Yeah, it takes a while to actually unlearn some of the things that video games teach you, and one of the things you do have to unlearn to get good at racing this game is maybe don't get everything. Also, if you find something good, maybe just use it right away.
Yes, and if you have something good, maybe you don't need all of the other good stuff.
Exactly. Once you have a solution, probably just gun it to the exit. But that runs counter to everything the Super Nintendo teaches you.
So we see Nobody War did go right for the Kefka Narsh check, which is a good play, and we can see that Celis is there.
Yep. Everything in this seed is locked behind that Kefka Narsh check. Celis is gating the rest of the seed. Storm Durgan, not a Durgan you want to find. Especially when it's unscaled. That was one physical hit and a dead Edgar. If it was not random ability scaling, then perhaps you could get through that relying on the Thunder Shield, but it's not super likely.
With the Thunder Rods, it'd be tough to say. If he was doing 2,700 damage on a level 15 Storm Dragon per cast, I think there's potential that could have worked.
Yep. Asherin taking out Tunnel Armor with seemingly a single rod, whilst Nobody War fights Doomgaze, a boss that everyone had a super fun time with.
Yes, Doomgaze has lots of ways to kill you right away.
Such as that!
Because this is the only path to progression, everybody has to fight Doomgaze solo with Edgar.
Yep.
So there are a few ways to handle that check. None of them are particularly obvious if you're not really experienced, so it'll be interesting to see how each of these runners decides to handle this challenge.
Nobody War is handling it by running away, which is probably what I would do if I didn't know what was in the Umaro check. However, he can peek right here. There is a way to tell what is in the Umaro check, and it's just by looking at that little black space at the top of the screen there. So he could now know that there's no way he's killing that boss Or sorry, there's no way he's getting anything from Umaro, so maybe he's just leaving to gain some levels or buy a solution or something. Hard to say.
Yep, we did see those pro rods for sale in World of Ruin South Figaro, which is a great strategy against Doomgaze, because Doomgaze has such high magic defense and rods cut past magic defense, so it's a weakness plus cutting through that defense. That's a really good strategy.
Yeah, and this Umaro on Umaro action turns out to be Poltergeist, another delicious boss to fight right at the start of the scene.
Yeah, Poltergeist is dangerous no matter what. Even though it's scaled bosses and scale random, I always find Poltergeist is still casting really dangerous stuff constantly.
Yeah, he's not one of the more fun bosses. Also, weirdly, and this runs counter to what seemingly everyone thinks, he's not weak to ice. You would think he would be, but he's weak to poison. So, one of the only vaguely viable places to use poison rods in the game, I guess.
Yeah, I personally wouldn't be stocking up on them in preparation for that, but you're right. If you happen to pick one up out of a chest, this is where you use it.
Yep. Nobody War has opted to go for the Umaro check. I guess he maybe just wants the experience for the boss fights. Maybe didn't think to peek at what what was in the little cave entrance there. We'll
Yeah,
see
he
what
could
happens.
also be thinking that the Espers will give him something decent to help him with that Doomgaze fight. I don't believe they do, but it's definitely not a bad line of thinking.
Yeah, the easiest solution is to go get pearl rods. You could also go get a wall ring. Those were for sale in a few places. Doomgaze is not a fun boss to fight, and actually the wall ring it'll protect you from Doom, I'm pretty sure, but with
It will.
scaled random abilities, it's hard to tell what it's going to do for anything else that happens. Because you could just use like Surge or Sandstorm or any of the unblockable things.
Absolutely. We did see Ashran take an unfortunate wipe to a combination stop blaster cast, which is what Poltergeist, basically Poltergeist's signature move there. Also, the wall ring helps there. So if somebody does end up picking up a wall ring, they could have a viable strat against both of those bosses if they feel that they need to take them.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a nice start to a seed. I think everyone was agreed on that in the spoiler chat. Nobody had a fun time at the start of this. Some people got luckier than others. Some people filled up on pearl rods right away and then just got through it in a fight or two. But combination of the two bosses that are the ends of checks, the unkillable dragons, and just the fact that it's completely railroaded by Celeste, kind of means everyone's gonna run into the same unfortunate start.
Indeed. Nobody War did pick up the Ragnarok Esper, which does have Reflect on it. So even if somebody didn't pick up a wall ring, it'll be interesting to see if he realizes learning Reflect is a viable strategy if he gets stopped here.
Yeah, I think I was already annoyed by the time I ran into Doomgaze, and I just fought him a couple times and then won by essentially luck.
Yeah, eventually he probably won't kill you, maybe. And sometimes that works out.
It was mostly a matter of him not casting Doom immediately. And I believe I elected to use Jump to keep me out of the way of most things. But,
yeah, also a very viable strategy.
As mentioned earlier, I did make the mistake of kind of forgetting where the rods were, because my money was earmarked for Valiant Knives and Offerings. But, Asherin taking pass 2, getting doomed, because he's level 5 or equivalent, which is not something you want to have when you know you're running into Doomgaze. Nobody War taking a pass at Poltergeist.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to see quite a bit of this fight in the first little bit. Neither of these fights are particularly easy, and it's definitely not uncommon to take a wipe or two on either of these given this situation. So it'll be interesting to see how much the racers basically keep trying to knock down these bosses, or whether they step back and start looking for other strategies like further grinding, or like you said before, picking up those rods or other strategies.
Yeah, Siberian Bull with his I mostly don't wear a Moogle Charm strategy might actually get a very early lead. He's got levels and offense that nobody else does. He's already level almost 20, and Asheron's sitting at level 6 and 5, so yeah.
Yeah, brute force can work in a situation like this. Worst case, just keep leveling. The bosses are not going to level with you because it's progress based on, or progression based on. The enemies get harder when you get espers and characters and kill dragons, and so it's definitely a play.
Yep, and those dragons, by the way, there are 4 required today. I'm not sure if we pointed that out. That's not often the thing that you would see on a weekly race, but they do have to kill 4 of those unscaled dragons, so having to finish a check that you know had a dragon in it and not being able to leave it for later, I mean, I guess you could in this case because everything's locked at Kefka and Nourish, but when your choices are do the Ancient Castle and hope you don't have to go back there for the dragon later, I mean, it's only 4 dragons, so you wouldn't have to. If it's only 4 dragons, you always have the option of killing the ice dragon and the dirt dragon, because they're just readily available, and then killing the 2 in Kefka's Tower. If you can't find, you know, your lock or your cyan to get to some of the other ones.
The white dragon is also technically available in the Fanatics Tower, although obviously you have to go for it without being able to do the check unless you pick up a Strago.
Yeah, that's also, you gotta have the magic for that one.
Siberian Bull going for this gold dragon. I'm not sure if he realizes that the dragons are unscaled, or if he's really going for that brute force leveling strategy early.
He's got Runic, and it's an unscaled gold dragon. If he doesn't get unlucky, there's no way he can possibly lose this fight. He's got Runic, he's got a Thunder Shield, and Gold Dragon only ever uses Bolt. So if he just keeps Runicking, he'll be fine. Might take a little while, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, and like you said, given the way this race has to progress, these extra levels are not a bad thing.
Yeah, Fraggle in chat mentioning something a few people somehow managed to do, which was cast Ragnarok on at least one dragon and have it turn into an item. The chances of that working are very slim, but it is a way to get through them. Nobody wore back to fighting in that forest. I guess he's realized, yeah, I just need levels. Or possibly money to buy Pearl Runs.
And we see Asheron taking another crack at that Doom Gaze, using the avoid bad things by jumping strategy. Unfortunately, you're still going to get hit every second time, so hopefully the casts just work out for him to live through this fight.
Yeah.
One thing that... Oh, I'm sorry. One thing I forgot to mention, I believe there is a safety bit available that people might have, so they could realize that they have the safety bit and use that to mitigate the Doom instant kill, and then just try to get through the rest of the fight using potions and heals and just kind of damage.
I kind of habitually and automatically sell safety bits and memento rings if I see them, because that's like 10 to 20k, and I can use that money to buy a Valiant Knife. Or whatever the solution is in that particular scene. But, you know, maybe go follow our runners. You got some time. I don't think anything's going to be happening for the next couple minutes that you haven't seen for the past couple minutes.
We're getting a nice Pearl proc there from Asheron on Doom Gaze. Being weak to it, that's a good chunk of damage. A lot of these Dooms are missing, so we may have missed it, but it is possible that he did put that safety bit on, which is a good play, and hopefully it's going to be a long fight because of this strategy, but getting through this, like I said earlier, is key to progressing in the seed and could give him a decent lead over the rest of the runners.
Yeah, whoever kills Doomgaze first is kind of... They're going to have an advantage. The two people with obvious advantages at the moment are Asheron if he gets through this fight, and Siberian Bull if he kills that Dragon. Which will take a bit, but he literally can't lose.
Yeah, one of the more experienced and knowledgeable Final Fantasy VI aficionados in chat might be able to comment, but Gold Durgan has a pretty high unscaled level and very high hit points, and so just hitting him for 500 to 1,000 every turn, it's going to take a long time to kill him.
Yeah, I think most of the Durgans are level 90-something. Ooh! Doom Durgans for Nobody War. Not something you want to find. He accidentally walked into the desert.
I do that very often, very sympathetic. Moogle Charm is a heck of a thing to remember sometimes. Ooh, we saw a scary play there. Doomgaze just used Stone on Asheron. I'm not sure if he's got a ribbon on or something like that, but if Edgar gets muddled, that can be a disaster. So luckily that did not hit.
Yeah, opting to go for some spells now that Umaro's dead. We'll see how long that lasts. He does have access to Flare, but probably not the magic points to use it at this point.
Yeah, and those Thunder Rods aren't going to do too much, unfortunately. I did see that Siberian was using elixirs and whatnot to heal Umaro, as opposed to continuing with the runic.
Yeah, that's a dangerous play, but it could very well have worked out. You know, it's just a matter of what the Gold Dragon decides to target, such as in this case, both of them.
And Asheron makes it through the Doomgaze fight successfully, so great job there, picking up Celis for the required progression. The seed is not a cakewalk by any means from now on, but that is definitely the toughest part, is breaking through the start of this one.
Yeah, from there, there's many different ways to approach it. I think it is still gated through lock, which you get at one of the Celeste checks. But, you know, once you get past Doomgaze, that's kind of the hardest part dealt with. Not to say that they won't run into some challenges, but, you know, if you get past Doomgaze at level 6 or something, you should be proud.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like we said, those Doom casts are dangerous at any level.
Especially level 5.
Indeed they are. So now with things opening up, let's see what Asheron's going to do. Obviously picking up the free check for Celis in the South Figaro basement.
Yep, I often use this if I've already looted the basement to go to the other South Figaro and give myself an excuse to loot the other town. Because why not?
Yeah, that's a good strategy. Sometimes in seeds like this, I'll go loot it anyway because it's another couple shops to check. With an Edgar start like this, they're half price.
Yep.
And in this seed, the frequently mentioned Pearl Rods and Thunder Rods are for sale there. So definitely something you want to check out.
Yeah. Whether or not people check both towns is kind of a personal thing. Some people will just go, oh, but I'm already in the World of Balance or whatever. I think I started by checking... No, because I knew where the Valiant Knights were. I did not start by checking World of Ruin Nash, though that probably would have been the slightly smarter play, because you do get the discounts there.
Yeah, I'm seed to seed myself. It really depends on what I've gotten in all of my kind of World of Balance looting checks and what checks I have to do. If I'm still sitting kind of poor, I might extend that looting into the World of Ruin. Otherwise, I might do what you said earlier and just wait till I pick up Celeste to hit up that World of Ruin, South Figaro.
Yeah, there are other options for looting that we have not seen yet, a bit more out of the way. I know a lot of people like to check Albrook. often in the world of Ruin for that one extra chest. Tamasa is available. It's a bit out of the way, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 chests there. So that's often worth checking out. Just depends, what checks you have, how much time you feel like sinking into exploring, finding viable solutions, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe the Dragoon boots were available in Albrook in this seed. So
It's
for
not a
people
good stream.
who did pick that up, that was a boon with all the pearl lances that we've seen. I believe we may see a dragon horn later.
Well,
Oh no, did
Siberian Bull
Siberian
took a
Bull reset?
after all
Oh
that
no,
time.
that's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's not good. Asherin in the Magitech factory, finding a ribbon. A reasonable thing to have.
Yep, and this makes a lot of sense. Again, with such a closed seed, kind of already seen that the other checks aren't particularly great. I love Magitech Factory, especially early. The combination of espers, even items. Nobody likes dead checks, but even items this early and bosses that give you the experience aren't too bad. And if you want to do the looting, as you can see, there's lots of chests to pick up. So if you're the kind of runner who likes to do lots of looting, there's plenty available in the Magitech Factory, and you can get great stuff like a hero ring, like we just saw him get.
Yep, that's probably one of the least checked chests in the game. It's quite out of the way. There's a bunch of stuff like that in the Magitech Factory. He's apparently going for all of them. I tend to just get the ones that are right in front of my face. Because if you do that, the Magitech Factory is a lot faster.
Yeah, I agree. As I've kind of gotten some experience running races and whatnot and shooting more for times, I've definitely cut out at least half of the chests I used to get in Magitech Factory, probably more.
Yeah, there are a bunch that are on the path. He's gotten some nice stuff out of it, so it might run in his favor. But I would say most of the more experienced runners would just say, just follow the path and maybe go 4 steps out of your way for a chest. I would say even as just a general rule for most of the game.
What if it's an Illumina?
It's always an Illumina if you don't get it, obviously.
Yeah, you need to, that little voice that's screaming that in the back of your head, you need to squash it. It's not an Illumina.
But it might be. There
But
could be anything in the box. Even
it could
Brad
even be a
Pitt's
box.
wife's head. Which is a joke I'm never going to stop making. Even though I don't think anyone gets it.
Where's my cricket sound effect button?
I don't know. Probably out in the country somewhere.
It's very possible that it is.
Oh,
Asherin, we see taking on Umaro.
Triple Umaro. Quadruple even if you count the dead one. And quintuple if you count Kirito. But now it's just a poltergeist.
So we'll see how Siberian fares on this. Unfortunately, not getting that massive amount of experience he was looking for from that gold dragon.
Yeah, but as you can see, going straight for the ice rod, which, as I mentioned earlier, is not actually what Poltergeist is weak to, even though you'd think it would be.
Luckily, he doesn't absorb it or anything bad like that, so it's still going to do a decent amount of damage for him. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's not going to do the large amount of damage that a stronger poison attack would do.
Yep, Welk killing Kirito with an unfortunate poison. Many runners showing off today why you don't want to take Umaro into a Welk check. And Umaro dancing around in a circle on Siberian Bull screen and then dancing straight into Edgar and then a magnitude 8, which might kill Edgar. So that's fun.
Yeah, and we just saw Doomgaze hit Nobody War with a Doom. It's just kind of disaster all over this seed right now, as many of us experienced when we ran it ourselves.
It was not a fun time for many people. Definitely one of the more challenging starts I've been involved in. I don't think it's quite as bad as KGP Week 6 from the previous one, where everything was locked behind Fnatic's tower, but it's still not good. Ooh, magic urns when you're trying to grind, not what you want to find.
No, they're not.
Asherin has gotten through Huzumaru fight and finds himself a gem box. An item I think is kind of overrated.
Very situational, in my opinion. I do agree.
Yeah,
Typically,
for people who don't know how it works, it allows you to cast twice, but it takes twice as long to charge up for that cast. So really what you're saving yourself there is one charge of the ATB bar, which is usually pretty much a couple seconds. Unless you have like Quick or Osmos into a big spell or something like that, I don't find it's usually that helpful. It also takes away your ability to cast an Esper, which has screwed me over on multiple occasions when I've forgotten about that.
indeed, putting Fenrir on the Gembox user going into Kefka's fight is a common problem that a lot of us have done in the past.
Yep, and Asherin fighting a one slot out of place Ifrit. I guess he was doing leg day on the stairs.
Ifrit can be a tricky one. Basically absorbs everything but ice, and not going to have any source of ice except for that ice shield. I've got to say I like the strategy from Asherin here, taking off the ice shield and breaking it.
Yeah, that's probably going to one-shot it, as indeed it does. So that shows you, as I said earlier, if you've got something nice in this rando, most of the time just use it. It's more useful now than it probably will be down the line. If it gets you through something faster or more definitely than not using it.
Yep, totally agree.
You don't want to run into the standard JRPG trap of you get to the final boss and you have all the good items in your inventory because you never used them when they would have been useful earlier.
Yep, I always personally take the strategy of sell the elixirs. There's very mixed feelings on that. They sell for a ton.
Yeah, they sell
but
for about
they
8K.
can be useful.
I will often sell some of them. I don't like sell all of them, but certainly if it's early and there's something expensive I want to purchase, those elixirs can go. I'm probably gonna find more. This is assuming we're talking not like completely random chests. Because in the base game, nearly every clock has an elixir in it, so there's a lot of those in the shuffled chest pool. So you can pretty much guarantee you're going to find more.
Absolutely. In a seed like this, where now we don't know what these runners are thinking, but where there's an offering to purchase and Valiant Knives to purchase, I would be selling all of those elixirs.
Yep. That is where all of my money went until I figured, oh, Siberian Bull, a bit of a mistake there, running into some Ogres in that rider spot, and now he's a zombie. So that's
unfortunate.
That's nice. I thought for some reason that Valiant Knives were a universal equipable when I started this seed, and then I found out only 2 of my party could use it, so I spent a lot of my extra money on the Nervous when I found those. This is not...
Which is never a bad pickup.
Going well for Siberian Bull. That's a reset. Asherin taking the minecart ride to the 3rd check here.
And again, with the limited checks available and the low acquired characters and espers, I gotta say I agree with the play here as well.
Yeah, I believe I went this route also. It yields a character. I don't remember if it's Lock or Go-Go. The sheet says Go-Go. And I don't think most people did Go-Go's check, because I don't remember what the reward for the Zone Eater is. The main thing I remember is that you get a Genji Glove.
Yeah, I did it as well. I did it without warp stones. I suggest doing it with warp stones.
Yeah, I bought some at the start. I think it might have been in South Figaro Castle, or Figaro Castle. And then I had to reset, and I forgot where I bought them, and forgot that I didn't have them anymore, so I walked out of every long check in the game. Which was fantastic.
It's good for the cardio, for sure. As chat is mentioning, Zone Eater check will be Shiva, if anybody does attempt that.
Okay, Asherin running into Flame Eater here, finding out that the Dragon Claw they have equipped is Holy Element, and Flame Eater nulls it. So, just going for a straight up Thunder Rod now, which it will also null. Zone Eater only takes damage, not Zone Eater, Flame Eater only takes damage from Ice. And I believe it absorbs Holy. No, I just said it, no. It absorbs something that isn't fire.
Likely fire. Oh yeah, that isn't fire. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's very possible. But yeah, it's another one of those tricky bosses. So running into this, as well as having already broken the ice shield on Ifrit, can be a tricky situation. Luckily, physical attacks are a viable strategy as long as your weapons aren't elemental.
And as long as your Romero doesn't die. I would probably be using my rods to get rid of the little things, just to ensure Umaro hit the proper thing. But Asherin has elected to take a reset. Meanwhile, Nobody War on to the Operas. And half-speed Kirito finally making it to the Figaro basement.
And we see Siberian Bull taking another crack at this Kefka and Narsh check.
Electing, in this case, to fight every soldier, and not just an accidental soldier.
Yep, but beat this check with a hammer. Beat this check to death with a hammer, basically.
Yep, Nobody War running into some Reach Frogs there on the catwalk. Those are quite useful enemies to run into. He's gonna get like 10k out of that fight. They're very valuable in terms of GPs.
And they're not particularly dangerous.
No, the main thing they can do, especially in a time sequence like this, is just jump and cost you 30 seconds. So you do want to get rid of them pretty quick.
Yeah, I know a lot of people will save their rods for the bosses, but sometimes for these mandatory checks, it's not a bad idea to just break a rod and get through a standard fight in 1 or 2 turns, just to speed things along.
Especially if you're on a timer.
Also, don't be afraid to run away. If you feel like you're ahead of the scaling, run away. Use a warp stone, use a smoke bomb, get out of there. Yeah, it might be a juicy fight, but you also might not need it, and you need to save the time because you're racing.
Yep, I feel like a lot of people either really want the experience or kind of forget that you can run from everything now. Because for a long time that was not a thing on this randomizer, but now it is the standard that you have 100% runability from anything that isn't a boss.
Yeah, absolutely. Making those smoke bombs and warp stones very valuable.
Yep.
So we see Asherin taking on Ifrit again because that was the last save, or maybe chose to go back a save. Possibly trying to use the strategy of running away in between the transition between Ifrit and Shiva, or feeling like because he had that flame shield, that fire against Shiva is a more viable strategy, and then saving that ice shield for the Flame Eater.
Yeah, that could be a possibility. It's standard practice for those who have made the mistake like 8 times to save in a different slot once you get to the save point after this fight, because you can get locked in there if you save badly. So going back a save might have been a high-level play there from Asherin. Nobody War finding the tentacles, whilst Kirito finds where they probably came from. Did not use the runaway strat on Asherin's screen, but definitely has more ability to do damage to Shiva than to Ifrit.
So for those in chat that might not be aware, when there is a transition between Ifrit and Shiva here, if your party is running, you can actually run away even though it'll be flashing can't run. Because for a brief period of time there are no characters on, or there are no enemies on the screen, and the game gets confused and lets you run away because there's no boss preventing you from running away.
Yeah, a weird little bit of coding minutia, but it can be used. Usually, if you run into Ifrit and Shiva, it's either a big problem or not a problem at all. So Ashran's kind of in the middle ground where they're probably not going to kill him. But he also doesn't really have a way to kill them, so the runaway strat could be valid.
I'm surprised he's not... Yeah, that might be what he's going for now and why he's just waiting. I believe it is attacks that cause them to change. I think it's something like 5 attacks causes a switch. I don't know if they switch on their own or after they've done 5 attacks, but I don't know if waiting is the best strategy.
Either way, he's taken a reset, while Nobody War has found a Gao. And not even put him in his party, so presumably going to do the Velt check with the 3 characters he already has. Which is a pretty smart play, don't have to go back on the airship. Siberian Bull taking a doom to the face over on his screen. And with all the fighting he's doing, I think he's just killing everything. So that he doesn't have to worry when he dies. And can just run at Kefka over and over. He has put
interesting
the safety
strategy. I kind of love it.
It is something I haven't seen before, so that's... It is definitely interesting. Nobody War has found Strago on the Velt. And wow, he joins the party. We'll see who he decides to keep. Strago has Runic. That was another thing. In this scene, it was random commands, not random unique like we usually do. So there's a lot of duplicate commands running around, kicking around, and they're not, on the whole, very useful.
Interesting.
There's at least 2 people with control. I think there's 2 people with Runic. I don't remember the rest, but Lore, I think, is the only useful ability I found that wasn't Morph.
Interesting. We saw Ashran actually back out of the Magitech Factory checks and start going for this Opera House check. I can't argue with the play. If he really doesn't have a good way to deal with the bosses in his way, then you might as well do something else. We know Gogo only has 1 check and it's an Esper, so it's not locking progression. So this will work out fine for Ashran, and then he probably won't ever finish that Magitech Factory.
It is not required to do it, I don't think. So, yeah, chances are once people leave the Magitech Factory, they don't go back unless they need to.
Unfortunately, this game is sometimes absolutely brutal, and sometimes you absolutely need to do that. Rando's gonna rando.
Yeah, I hear they do that. Nobody War now going for the Serpent Trench check.
Yeah, Nobody War kind of opening up a nice lead here. He did not go for the Magitech Factory, but went for this Opera House early. He may go for that Magitech Factory later to pick up Espers, but he's in a much better situation to get out of it.
Oh, Siberian Bull flaring himself in the face. Well, he must be nearly out of soldiers at this point. Oh, a Pug in the Serpent Trench. Well, I think Nobody War's got the levels to deal with it. Pug and Pugs are odd in this randomizer. He's elected to run away with a smoke bomb. But I think Pugs for sure, and probably just regular Pug. They have a base level of 99, so when they're taken down to level was like a 20-ish for Nobody War at the moment, they're kind of worthless.
Yeah, except I believe Pugs gives you Minerva.
Pugs, plural, has a 1 in 8 chance per of dropping a Minerva, I think. You can also steal them with the same chance. And
Right. Unfortunately, Pug is only going to give you a Gradius, which isn't good for much, but selling.
it's good for money, and it's not great at that.
It
Siberian
sure is
Bull
average.
taking another pass at Doomgaze, whilst Asherin gets to the Tentacles fight. Ultros loses his head somewhere along the route down from the rafters to the stage.
I did see that Siberian Bull equipped the safety bit for this
Yep.
fight now, so hopefully that'll help. That stone muddle though is terrifying.
But that's like, what, 2 turns and he killed it?
Yeah,
So,
well, there's your brute force. It'll be interesting with all these extra levels to see if he can move through some of these other bosses very quickly.
yeah, currently we have Nobody War with a reasonably substantial lead. Asherin gonna be fairly close behind. Siberian Bull has a lot of levels over everyone else. Except for possibly Nobody War, who did take a break to grind out a bit. And Kirito seems to be running his emulator at half speed, so hard to comment on how well they're doing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Basically, the seed gets to a point and it kind of opens up a little bit wider as some of the characters get acquired. And
Yep.
so while Asherin is behind for now, depending on the order of the checks, the second half of the seed could go either way. But we do see Nobody War picking up a Terra after the Serpent Trench, which is arguably the most valuable character you can find, I would say.
Pretty much. Spending a lot of money on hero rings, which implies to me they didn't find the Valiant Knife. But yeah, you can't really count what abilities are because they're generally randomized these days. And as long as the stats... I mean, everybody's stats are randomized, so you can't really count on that either. But in terms of just pretty much the best checks, the best base equipment pool, one of the best vanilla abilities if you're not randomizing that, not amazing in any particular stat, but above average in all of them with vanilla stats. Terra is pretty much definitely the best character in the game, certainly in vanilla. Celeste also up there for pretty much the same reasons.
Yeah, I've personally been doing a lot less shopping lately and a lot more just looting and hoping. And so I really like the Terra pickup because that sealed gate, if you're going to run that kind of a race, is extremely valuable.
Yeah, there's like, what, 15 chests in that one room, and then there's a whole bunch more in the sealed gate itself. So
yeah, and as long as the randomizer's got decent settings, like what has become the standard, like this one, which is a shuffled plus 20%, you're going to get some good stuff. And if you don't get good stuff, you're going to get some good stuff to sell.
Exactly. Kirito has found some pugs. I guess they got mad that that one pug got killed by Nobody War. Nobody War making the interesting choice of apparently going to fight a Welk, or he just really wants to buy an offering that he doesn't have the money for. Asherin going to the Velt, same basic play. I mean, you find Gao, what else are you going to do?
Yeah, and the Velt check's really nice because it's a guaranteed Esper or character, as opposed to a lot of the other checks, which are character Esper item or Esper item. And so it's really nice to do early in a seed like this because you need progression wherever you can get it. None of these Espers have particularly great spells, so it's a good play. Unfortunately, he's going to find out that I think Bolt 2 is the best. Bolt 2 and Flare are pretty much the spells you get in this seed, but yeah.
I think the last Esper, or the second last Esper I found, had Ice 3 on it, and up until then, there was no really good magic. There's Flare, which is powerful but slow, and then there was just some level 2 spells. And thank you, Jones, for the raid. Welcome all the peoples to Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide. KGP, Kefka Grand Prix, week 4 out of 5. And hope you have a good time while you're here. Maybe go give the game a try once you've seen it. Assuming you weren't just watching Jones do it.
Everybody except Kirito has already passed the gauntlet, we'll say, of the start of the seed, so it does become a lot more of a standard race now. We're going to see a lot more progression, a lot more differentiation in checks after it opens up, especially after that Terra pickup. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how each of these racers takes this path differently, or these different paths.
Yep. Nobody War finding a Kefka hiding out in the caves after he got beaten up above the caves. Not usually any kind of a worry unless you fight him really early. He does have some magic.
Yeah, scale element, or sorry, scale random, he can do some wacky stuff, but now that we're at a point in the seed where you've got lots of levels, you've got 4 characters, he's not going to do anything that's going to wipe your whole team. So this is a really manageable fight, especially compared to the other stuff they've gone through earlier in the seed.
Yeah, they've fought 2 of the worst bosses in the game already. I don't remember what was stopping Asher in Magitech 3.
It was the Flame Eater, but he didn't have any ice offense and only had really elemental weapons. So I think there's some stuff that he could have chosen to do, but given the situation, I don't think backing it was a bad play.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2 bosses in a row that he found where you essentially need specific elements or defense ignoring stuff, or high offense to get through. So, just, you gotta make the decision. Do I have the things that I need to get through here? And he decided no.
Yeah, and I'm a fan of making decisions as opposed to kind of waiting too long and pondering on them, because then you're not progressing at all. You might as well choose to do something.
Yeah. A lot of people do run into that whole sunk cost fallacy of, oh, I've been doing this fight forever. Better keep doing it. But, at some point you have to go, this is taking too long. It's going to continue to take too long. I gotta go somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. It is called a fallacy for a reason. I do
joke I can't make. Continue.
I do like I'm actually a really big fan of the Serpent Trench check myself. I like to do most of my grinding on the fixed encounters in checks, and with this one having only 100% escapable fights and no boss. If you come prepared with smoke bombs and warp stones, it's either a free check or it's a check with some decent grinding. But either way, I actually really like this check.
I do these days tend to follow up if I get Gao and it's not, the end. I do tend to follow up the Velt check with the Serpent Trench just because it's there. It's right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in this case, it gets you 2 characters in a row, which is super helpful in a look for 10 character seed. 10 characters is a lot to find, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, and I don't like I mentioned before, I don't like particularly shopping too much. So this is a really good excuse to visit Nikia, or Nikia, or where...
Yeah, which you never really have any other reason to go to. Only reasons to go to Nikia or whatever are if you're doing it early, looking for rods or something, and if you do the search. There's only 1 treasure in the town. It's not particularly on the way to anywhere. It's kind of like Miranda. There's no real reason you'd wind up there most of the time. Also, Mobliz World of Balance tends not to have a lot of visitors. That's also not really on the way to anywhere. And the 1 chest that you can get there, you can get in the World of Ruin anyway. There's also another one. There's also another one that nobody ever gets. I didn't even know that the chest in the Dwayne/Cattering basement existed until a couple months ago. And some tentacles getting flared. Whilst Nobody War fights Numero, and Asheron's about to find himself a Terra. So I think we'll see that Nobody War has an easier time of things with this second and third check in here if he elects to do both of them, in addition to this initial marrow check. There is a go-go at the end, and that's the route I took. Not specifically how Nobody War has done it, but I did get through here. I got my go-go. Go-go gave me a Genji glove, and then I had 3 Valiant Knives on 2 people at the end of the game. And that was pretty good. I think my end game solution for this particular seed was dual Valiant Knife with an offering on one character, who was probably Terra or Celeste. Valiant Knife / offering on another character. Morph and Magic with Gao. And I think I found a Dragon Horn at some point and had a jumpy jump. But, you know, it's hard to say what people will do. I haven't seen people saving up or buying offerings or Valiant Knives. We've seen a lot of Rod play so far. A lot of grinding on the Siberian Bull's screen. Nobody War did stop to grind for a bit as well. I think they were the first person to get through Doomgaze, which is why they have not an insurmountable lead, but a fairly substantial one. A couple other people also ran into some issues, which caused them a bunch of resets. We seem to have lost Javinator. He did mention that there was some thunderstorms going on his end, so I may be solo for a while if he's lost power. So, just some definite epilepsy-style walking on Kirito's screen. And Siberian Bull in a town I'm not sure he has a reason to go to. There are 2 chests in this town. I don't know that I checked them, and I looked away for a moment, so I didn't even see what was in that one. Nobody War trying the runaway tactic for Shiva Ifrit. I don't know how easy it is to pull off. In this case, it did not work. You have a pretty slim amount of time to do it. I think probably the smarter play would be... Well, I don't know if this would even work. It might be possible that you could throw a smoke bomb or something if you had the time. It's hard to say. But has elected to start the fight now. Asherin making the change over to the sealed gate, which is a solid play. It's very rare that I would say don't go do that immediately once you find Terra. And there's some force armor, a hero ring, a couple other nice things in there. And very much the old epilepsies on Kirito's screen. Whilst Siberian Bull goes to Nikea for some reason. Perhaps seeking out hero rings? I don't recall if they've actually been here before due to... One moment, I'm going to be joined by someone here in commentary. I just have to get them in a room. I don't know that Siberian Bull has done the Serpent Trench, so interesting play in the amount of time that I said I don't think there's much reason to go to Nikea generally. It's kind of out of the way, but I have been proven wrong. I am now joined here in the commentary by Jones. How's it going, sir? Thank you for jumping in. They may have themselves muted. I'm sure we'll figure that out momentarily. Asherin taking a fight in a cave with a whole lot of imps. So Too bad he doesn't have the full imp setup with all the gear. I still haven't seen anyone pull that off in this randomizer ever. I got so close yesterday. I had everything except the imp spell, which is pretty important to the process. For those who don't know, there's a full set of imp gear you can find that if you're an imp...
Join, I should make sure that my stuff is working.
Hello, Jones! How's it going, sir?
Hello, hello.
Welcome to the commentary.
Oh, it's going great, thank you.
Jumping in for Javinator there, who we lost presumably due to a power outage. I presume you've been watching along on the streams. You kind of know what's going on.
I've been watching for maybe about 15 minutes. I just finished my run right before this, so.
Ah, well, how did you find the seed?
It wasn't that bad. It was a little rough finding Doomgaze right at the beginning there, but luckily I had found a Pearl Lance and Dragoon Boots and a safety bit on my way there, so he didn't pose that much of an issue.
Yeah, you probably had an easier time of it than most people seem to have. I think only one person on stream even thought of using the safety bit, and that was after Siberian Bull got wiped by Kefka like 4 times and fought like 30 soldiers.
Yeah. Yeah, the first time I went in there, I was level 10, and that didn't work out well.
No.
And then, but you know, I had 2 pearl rods, I had that lance and the safety bit, and then it was fine. But you know, what are you gonna do when you have to do Kefka and Narsh and it's Doomgaze? You're kind of stuck.
You're not gonna have a nice time, as we learned on stream tonight.
Yeah.
We are seeing Asheron going through the sealed gate. Siberian Bull has just picked up Strago, electing apparently maybe not to do the Serpent Trench, or just wants to change members before he does so. Nobody more coming up to that Flame Eater that Asheron couldn't get past earlier. Hopefully they have some ice or some more physical stuff to do than Asheron was capable of. And Kirito continues his half-speed journey through the game.
Yeah. Poor guy. I hope that things are working out for him in real time.
We are unsure whether it's on his end or not, but we will look into that after this stream is over.
It does look like Siberian Bull's going to go for that Serpent Trench.
Okay, yeah, just wanted to swap out some characters and stuff. Asheron about to find the merchant at the end of the sealed gate, who will give to him a thing. In this case, Madeline. Oh! Genji Glove Terra using 2 holy weapons on Flame Eater, who does not care.
Yeah.
And Siberian Bull running into that pug we saw in French.
Ooh, that's not good.
Pug's usually not that much of an issue in the rando, as long as you've got some offense. We also have 100% runawayable, so...
Yeah.
That seems to be a thing a lot of runners forget about. But, yeah, Pug is not a particularly valuable thing to kill, so running would be the solution there.
It depends on when you find it, too, because it uses Step Mine pretty much after every attack. And if you've been playing for a little bit, that Step Mine can get you.
Yeah, I vaguely know how Step Mine works, e.g. more damage the more you've been walking, but I have no idea what the damage formula is. It can be weirdly dangerous at the start, and then basically nothing until the end game.
Yeah.
But almost any spell is dangerous at the start of the game.
Yeah.
Nobody more has
Flame Eater
gotten
goes
through
down.
Flame Eater. As Asheron slowly gets in the queue to climb up the Zozo Tower.
It looks like Kirito's going to do a little bit of shopping at IKEA. Nikea.
It's one of those. Hopefully he doesn't have to stop stream to build the items himself.
Poison rods there.
Yeah, weird item. Like, a lot of people will think they're good because, oh, no, the rods are good, but two of them kind of aren't. There's not much reason to use a Poison Rod against anything except maybe Poltergeist, who is weak to it. And Nobody War has found Chatterknock. Gravity Rod also not really any reason to use Quarter at any point in the game.
Yeah, I have found that poison can be good, especially against the dragons. I think most of the dragons are susceptible to poison, and Katana Soul too, or Katana Soul. So depending on what your other offense is, you know, being able to poison those things and letting that do some extra damage for you can be helpful. But
anything that is a man, quote unquote, like a human character, is supposedly weak to poison. It's not a hard and fast rule, but it's supposed to be. Funbaba, as was pointed out in chat, weak to poison. Poison can get you through the tentacles, but poison rods, unfortunately, are single target, which is obnoxious.
yeah.
Ghost Train in the middle of a city, or Asherin. I guess they're installing some light rail to hell.
He's just driving through the cobbles and the stones.
I mean, they weren't fast enough with the rail laying. They need Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah.
And Nobody War with Chatternook in the sky. Throwing some flares at it. Kirito finding those Gigantoses we saw quite a while ago. I believe someone pointed out a little bit ago that we did see that their in-game timer is about half of what the timer on screen is. So it does seem to be an emulator issue on their end. So we'll look into that after the stream. But for now, Asherin has picked up Bismarck from the top of Zozo, a place I had to walk out of.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah,
Chatternook goes down.
I bought some warp stones and then reset, and then forgot I had bought warp stones, and then couldn't remember where I bought them. So I walked out of every long place.
Oh,
It was
that's a shame.
game. Yeah. So definitely heavy on the heal spells this seed. There's Life 2 available on, I think, at least 2 things. Cure 3 was available basically from the start. There's Cure 2 on something else, so in that case, the spells are really good, but in terms of damage spells, I did not find anything until very near the end that was better than a level 2.
Yeah, I mean, Flare was available pretty early, but nobody likes to use Flare because of the time.
Flare slow.
Yeah.
I bet
otherwise...
Siberian Bull feels kinda stupid now. Going
hey,
there,
it worked.
Went there on his way to going there.
Oh.
Nobody War making a choice a lot of people don't seem to like, which is doing Zone Eater's Belly. How do you feel about that, Jack?
I do not like Zone Eater at all. I avoided it. I thought I was going to have to do it, and luckily I didn't have to. I am not very good at dodging the green guys. And so I try to stay away.
Kind of obnoxious, but there's at least one Genji glove in there, as Nobody War just picked up. And I found that very useful for my end game.
Oh yeah. I would have used that on my Valiant Knife Terra in a heartbeat.
Valiant Knife offering. That was what one of my characters was doing. Nobody War not saving. Hopefully they don't get squished. Okay, not going for the first chest is the safe strategy here. If you go for the first chest and it's a long name, the timing is off for getting to the second chest. So a lot of people get squished there if they open that first chest. Leap River, interesting check on Siberian Bull's side.
Oh yeah, definitely interesting.
It's not like there's a need to be going for the long forced encounter check here. Interesting.
And an IO too.
Yeah, that's not a nice thing to find, but making use of Confuse is a pretty good strategy there.
And if you ever find somebody with Rage, IO's a good Rage. Which I doubt anybody will find any good commands in this seed.
There is Morph, which every time I've brought it up, someone in chat goes, we didn't have an attack command. Morph and Magic is ridiculously powerful, even with just level 2 spells. So, I saw Morph and Gao went in my party immediately. Gao's also not inherently a bad caster. He's at least average.
Sounds like that might be a little bit of a sore spot for you.
It's just... I keep saying Morph is good, and then people go, what are you gonna do with it? It doubles your magic attack.
Morph is great. I always forget about it. I don't ever think about it until...
It's really overlooked. I've noticed in all the restreams and all the races I've watched. People just kind of overlook it if they're not Jack, who uses it almost every fight. It's probably one of those things. It's a holdover from the SNES era of, but I need these points later, and then you don't use it until you get to Final Cap.
In Siberian Bull with this veteran fight, this is definitely one I would run from.
Yep, that's another thing people seem to overlook. I've probably said it at least twice tonight, but a lot of people just don't escape from things when they pretty easily could. But that roulette stuff that the top things do, not super nice.
And they have so much hit points. So many.
Yeah. If you don't have pretty solid offense, you're gonna be getting hit with Dread or Roulette a lot. Asherin taking a peek at the lock in Mobliz, and Nobody War doing one of the most hated checks in the game. Ebbets Rock! Hooray!
Yeah. Luckily in the new version, Ebbets Rock is slightly less trolly, since the treasure chest doesn't spend 15 minutes talking to you when you're ready to go. So that does help.
It has learned to shut up.
Yeah.
But, and I say this every time I do commentary, Ebbets Rock is not that bad. I know it feels awful to do, and I hate it, but it also usually takes less than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It almost
really
universally takes less than 2 minutes.
I think there's a lot of checks like that where people don't like to do them because it's perceived to be bad.
Yeah, it's out of your control, so
yeah,
it doesn't feel good.
And Kirito taking that gold dragon, that unscaled gold dragon.
Half-speed Pearl, the fastest spell in the game. This flare's gonna go faster on Asherin's side. Oh, Nobody War miscounted there, I guess. They tried to talk to the chest, and it did not work.
That's the worst.
Yeah, that is something that is definitely helped out in the version 0.9, where that conversation is essentially, hey, give me some stuff, and then he doesn't talk anymore. But it is 22 coral that you need. So
it looks like Asherin's about to be done with Fumbaba and move on to Fumbaba.
Yay! Good old double Fumbaba.
Siberian Bull and another veteran fight.
Yep, electing to run away this time.
Oh, there he goes.
Bio available, and it's being used, so Asherin knows what's going on in this fight. X-Magic on an unfortunately equipped Gao, who only has fire. But with Morph, I mean, 635 damage out of fire is not bad. It's a weak spell. Probably wouldn't have wasted my Morph on that if I knew that was all I had, but at least it's getting use.
Yeah, there you go.
Nobody War running into Big Daddy Atma there. He does have a fair arsenal of attacks at this point.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd be too worried for him.
But Siberian Bull running into slightly out of place Ultros, who has decided to swim above the water today. He hasn't made it quite all the way up to swimming in the sky, but you know, less than 2 out of 3.
Yeah, you have to start somewhere.
Yeah. You don't start by playing Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata Movement 3, which is a reference all the kids are gonna get.
So everybody's fighting a boss on screen at the same time.
Yep. Kirito obviously gonna be doing so for a little while, but I think he's wearing a Thunder Shield.
Yeah.
So
It may take a long time, but he is going to win that battle.
Yeah, the dual. I've already forgotten what that Umaro spell is called, but two of them on screen at the same time. You can see how slow Kirito's emulator is moving, and Atma goes down.
And it looks like Siberian Bull got Golem at the end of Leet River, so not a totally worthless check.
And it has Bolt 3 on it, so that's a level 3 spell way earlier than I had.
Oh, nice.
He has elected to keep Umaro in his party, so it'd be interesting to see if he keeps him straight through to Final Kefka.
Ashran's still chipping away at Fumbaba, one of the chunkiest bosses in the game.
Yep, usually want to be casting some poisony things on him. He does not like them. But unfortunately, one guy is dead and one guy is too stoned to participate.
This is where those poison rods would come in handy.
Yep, nobody wore going for another one of the most derided checks in the game, the Burning House, with level 50 magics in it, which is not a nice time.
Oh, but a side attack where you can run away immediately, that's not bad.
Not much to complain about there. Asherin has successfully gained his lock. Probably going to see him go check out the Cursed Shield at this point. As Siberian Bull does the Welk check and fights him a Kefka. Not a dangerous boss, as we mentioned earlier, most of the time. If you get there and you're above level, I don't know, 10 or 12, you're probably okay.
And this is a nice one to finish in this one because after you get lock, you can go back and get the second reward behind the Welk, and the two, even though there's no Esper at the weapon shop, both of the items are pretty good. So being able to go back and get that one behind the Welk check is a good thing.
Yeah, I don't recall what the choice was, but we're about to find out. A dragon horn or an offering. So that's where I got my dragon horn. So I had the double Valiant Knife, the Dragon Horn, and Gao doing essentially 10k every shot with morphed magic. That was my solution. What was your end game?
My end game was I had Terra with Valiant Knife. I only got one Valiant Knife. I could have bought more, but I didn't. But I had her with a red cap and a muscle belt, and I pretty much just went single. And then I didn't really have any other good offense. I mean, I pretty much cast Ice 3 and had Terra use Valiant Knife. That was pretty much it.
That's probably enough. You seem to have gotten through it. I had forgotten that muscle belts were also for sale in the shop that sold the offerings. And for those who don't know, a very sneaky trick you can do with a red cap or a muscle belt or even a green beret if that's all you've got. A green beret, not an S tier hat, but considering there's almost no good hats at all, one of the best hats in the game. It gives you 10 physical evade, raises your health by 1/8. But what you do is you go into your relics or your equipment, you take off the thing that raises your health before or after you heal, and then once you're healed up, you put it back on, and it will raise your health a bunch. And then Valiant Knives work by every health you're missing between your maximum and your current is added to every swing. So it's a good way to add, 1,000, even 2,000 damage to each swing at the end of the game.
Yep.
For me, it's another terrible Kefka's Tower enemy.
Yeah. Oh, now we have Ashran doing the Gold Dragon as well.
Yeah, but luckily not at half speed.
Yeah.
Nobody wore fighting Vargas and the Ipoos. And Siberian obviously has all the levels in the world at this point. He's level 31. So he's able to kill these fairly nasty enemies, who are also probably scaled down from their general abilities. They'd be level 24-ish for him, so he's definitely outpacing the scaling with his grinding strategies.
Yeah. That's one thing I was expecting to see in the seed that I didn't really see. Considering it was scaled random abilities, I expected to see a lot more nasty stuff from the bosses, and I ended up lucking out most of the time. I don't think I saw any stray Ultimas or anything like that.
I think I got a couple of fallen ones, but nothing like party wiping. I think I took one Grand Train, which taught me Grand Train. Siberian Bolt actually just got probably, of all the chests in the game that isn't in a random house on the map, the least picked up chest in the game. That bottom left one over the lava floor takes so long to get.
Yeah. Yes,
And
it does.
Nobody War doing Fnatic's Tower. I guess just going all out on the Strago checks. It is a Setzer pickup. There is a dragon here. He has killed no dragons as of yet, so that might be part of the reason he's going up there. Aside from this Gold Durgan, which we have seen, I think Siberian Bull killed it. Or, actually, I'm not sure on that, because his emulator did a weird thing and he had to reset. I'm not sure if he went back for it or not. But 2 people fighting the Gold Durgan, it is probably the easiest Durgan in the game. And outside of that, we haven't seen anyone kill any dragons, so... Yeah, this is going to be our first dragon kills. Skull Durgan for Nobody War, one of the least threatening dragons.
That's 3 dragons on screen.
Yep.
Skull Dragon, another not really threatening one.
Yeah, I actually learned something yesterday about the translation of this game. Apparently, a lot of things are called Durgans because of a mistranslation or a misunderstanding of. There's a word in Japanese which is like 2 kanji characters, which is fierce dragon, which basically means dinosaur. So it's been translated literally instead of as it's meant to be, which probably explains why a lot of the dragons aren't in any way dragons.
Yeah, I just saw that it looks like Kirito reset. Maybe I didn't see him die, but it looks like he reset.
I was looking away. I cannot honestly say. Cat Hood pickup for Asherin from that Durgan.
An unfortunate reset after spending that much time in the Gold Dragon fight.
Well, he is running at half speed, so we don't know.
That is true.
How
That is
long
true.
that took, but yeah, we're gonna have a conversation with him and maybe figure out what's going on with his game. So as you can see, we're an hour 45 minutes in. Nobody War's approaching the requirements. I guess Asherin's pretty close behind, just 1 Esper behind.
And had a clutch flare. He was muddled, cast flare on himself, and it got reflected.
Yeah, I didn't think flare was reflectable, but I guess I know now. But yeah, fairly close between the 3 runners who aren't running at half speed, so you can tell at an hour 45 minutes in, we're about to get some people in the next 20 minutes, I'd say, starting to run at Kefka's Tower. You can tell how hard the start of this seed was.
Yeah. It doesn't, I mean, 10, 10, and 4 are pretty high requirements for a regular race. Depending on how things go, and you're right, the beginning of this seed was pretty rough. So it took a lot longer to get momentum, and then once you start unlocking those checks, you know, you might luck out and find everything you need, or you might start going way too heavy one way or another. I know I had 13 Espers before I found my 10th character.
Yeah.
I just picked the wrong checks.
That is definitely a thing. Some people also went out of their way to buy the Esper at Tizen, as I mentioned earlier to Javinator. I probably wouldn't do that when I know I gotta get 10 characters. You're way more likely to get an Esper from a check. There are 25, 26 of them, whereas there are only 14 characters. So finding 10 characters is going to take you a while. You're probably going to find some Espers. Asherin has just gained 2 from Valley Garmanda and subsequently the Umaro's Cave check. And Nobody War found a Snow Muffler at the top of the tower and is now fighting Atma's younger brother, Atma Weapon.
Longer name, less scary.
Yep. Asherin now fighting Poltergeist. I think he came here before, but now he has actual offense and healing abilities and so on. So, not too worried about him getting through it this time. Kirito going for that monster in a box. And Siberian Bull probably about to show off another one of the least gamed chests in the game. We did see, I think Asherin got this earlier, and it is kind of worth it. There's a hero ring in there, but Asherin earlier did clear out the entire Magitech facility, which isn't something you usually see, because it does take a fair while. I'm also not convinced that falling out of there is faster than walking back.
I think that it is. I've done a few runs. Back before I quit going for all those chests, and I felt like it was. But
yeah, I kind of feel like it is, but I don't know. I think it's about even. Well, I think I might. I don't know. I'd have to time it. It's not a huge difference either way, I guess, is the point.
yeah, absolutely. I think it's probably one of those things, like so much in this game, that's totally up to your perception. Something seems worse than it is or better than it is just because of how you perceive it.
Yeah, some things are luck-based, some things are just, like, maybe the feeling of walking back makes it seem like you're moving more than just watching a dead screen for a few seconds.
Yeah.
So who knows? And the answer to that question is probably Cecil.
Exactly.
For those not aware, Cecil is faster than consulting an FAQ. It's usually more accurate.
Yeah. And he always knows when somebody needs help.
Yeah, because
If you're asking a question, he will be there.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
he is a superstar. Hopefully he doesn't collapse into a black hole.
And here we'll see Kirito with Umaro being faced off by Umaro.
Yep, and nobody more picking up Setzer. I did not find Setzer. Did not even peek at the Fanatic's Tower, so, ooh, regular old slot Setzer. And 2 simultaneous flares.
Oh, this will be great. Let's all sit back and enjoy.
And Kirito runs into a bolt. Another, not quite simultaneous, but nearly.
Unfortunately, Setzer didn't have any character checks, which, in Nobody War's case, it doesn't matter. He needs 2 of both.
Yep, and one of Setzer's checks is really fast, and the other one, I would say, is reasonably average, but has more treasure than a lot of places do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a terrible pickup, but my pathing was through lock. I never found Setzer. Some people did, some people didn't.
I did. Setzer was right towards the end. I was at 13 and 8 and starting to get desperate, so I saw there was a character at Fnatic, so I took it.
The last character I picked up was Mog, and that was in Mount Zozo, I believe, after I picked up Cyan from somewhere.
That would be Tunnel Armor. That was my last character.
Yes, so I picked up Locke. I probably immediately went to the weapons store and then did Tunnel Armor, because Tunnel Armor is fast.
Oh, Poltergeist doing a blaster on Kirito. Not a great thing to see.
Yeah, Kirito is currently an hour-ish into his seed, so his levels aren't that great, but he might be able to get through it. Asherin taking the slightly odd... Well, I guess he probably wants to kill the dragon, but I don't know that I'd do Phoenix Cave at this point in the game just to fight a dragon. It's a
I did.
long check. I mean, it's a value judgment, right? There's some chests in there. It's a free check, essentially. But I went for the fast check, and he's already killed 1 Durgan. He knows there's another one just sitting around. There's 2 in Kefka's Tower. So
Yeah, I feel like in most of the seeds I've played, Phoenix Cave has a character. It's just one of the things that usually happens for me, and that's what I was looking for at the time. And, oh, looks like Kirito got hit by another bio on Poltergeist and had to reset.
Definitely, as I said, gonna have some issues there if he goes at it again. His health is at like 600, so he's probably max level 17. I forgot he has 2 of the healthiest characters in the game. Siberian Bull apparently going for the 3rd check here in Magitech Factory, which will yield for him a go-go. As Asherin and Nobody War continue through their dungeons. I did not do this dungeon, so I don't know if there's any good items in it. It doesn't really seem like it.
I wasn't treasure hunting when I was in Daryl's tomb, but or you're talking about Asherin?
No, Nobody War.
Oh.
I didn't do Asherin's thing either, but I was not looking at his screen when he picked up most of the things.
Nobody War will find Seraphim, I believe, at the end of this. As far as treasures, I don't think I did any treasure hunting in Daryl's tomb or the Phoenix Cave, so I couldn't say. I don't feel like the seed was especially generous on the treasure chest. There were a couple of decent things, but...
There were a couple elemental shields, and I don't remember finding anything else particularly nice that wasn't a drop from something.
Yeah, I would agree.
There was that snow muffler at the top of Fanatic's Tower, but I think that's guaranteed to be a reward tier item.
Yeah. Unfortunately for me, none of my characters could equip it. None of my main characters, anyway.
There were Minervas for sale.
I did see that. I didn't have enough money when I saw it. I never went back, but Minervas are a great item.
I spent so much money in this. I bought 3 Valiant Knives, 2 Offerings, and 2 Minervas.
Depending on how early you found that cat hood, that's a good thing.
Not particularly early.
Asherin finding the blue dragon at Phoenix Cave. Gonna bring him up to half of his dragon requirements.
Yeah, one of the more dangerous dragons. I mean, people seem to have more difficulty with it than I do, but there are... I mean, I was about to say this as though it's a strategy I use. I was not aware of it until very recently, because dragons are usually either a huge problem or not a problem at all.
Mm-hmm.
But they all have status weaknesses. Like, you can confuse some of them, you can poison a bunch of them, etc. I think one of them's vulnerable to stop. I'd have to look at my exploit sheet.
I found out by watching another experienced runner that the Dirt Dragon is sleepable. That's a nice little play for those who don't know. The White Dragon can be muted. The Red Dragon can be muddled, I think.
Yep, we saw that, I think last Saturday when Fraggle did it. Or maybe last Thursday, I don't recall. But it wasn't on a restream recently. That was literally the point at which I learned that dragons have weaknesses. Well, I definitely knew it before, because I made a whole, like, cheat sheet of what's vulnerable to what. I just forgot, because it's not generally terribly useful information.
Yeah. Flame Eater goes down for Siberian Bull, and the Dragon goes down for Asher, and he gets himself a red cap.
Yep, and with all the Valiant Knives, and actually I don't think we've seen anyone even buy a Valiant Knife. I'm not sure any of them are even aware they exist. Which is unfortunate, from my perspective, because that was my entire solution.
Valiant Knives are so great. I found it right away. It was in South Figaro, maybe in other shops. When I found it at first, I didn't have any money, and I was level 3, so I just wrote it down and figured I would come back to that later. I think I bought one, and then I found one off of a check.
There was one that was a drop from, I think, a dragon, but I know that was Kefka's Tower, and I already had 3, which was the maximum I could equip, so... Yep.
Nobody wore it.
In the sky for Siberian Bull, Ghost Train, in the streets again for Nobody War. A lot of train derailments going on in Zozo, I guess.
Yeah. A little tactic that I've learned from just from watching others and playing a lot. The Ghost Train has extremely high magic defense. And you can see he's weak against fire, and people are casting fire, which is great. But his regular defense is so low. I say his like this train is a man. Its regular defense is so low that a lot of times if you just attack with your weapon, you can take off almost as much.
I don't know. It might be a man. It's got a pretty huge smokestack.
Haha.
And
Grim
to
will
address
pull-
a chat thing, there are no undead bosses in this seed. That flag is turned off. Or on, whichever way it is. I think it's no undead, yes. Which
Yeah,
is
but-
one of the weird things about the choices in the generation screen.
Yeah,
Asherin
Grim
did
will-
find that Ice 3 Esper. Now just looking for 3 characters.
Yep, and Grimwolf is right. You can still hit Ghost Train with ID abilities like the
Oh.
Scimitar, Slice Kill, or the Striker.
Yes, it is still vulnerable to instant death. I misunderstood the point there.
All right,
that
we're
is the
starting to
thing-
get
Go ahead.
we're starting to get a couple that are getting really close to hitting requirements. We should be seeing some Kefka's Tower action here soon.
Yeah, Nobody War needs 2 Espers. I think he's going to get 1 out of here. Asherin needs 3. He's going to get a character, I think. Out
Yep,
of
he'll
this
get-
deck.
Yep,
He's gonna
Cyan
get
here.
Cyan. Siberian Bull still looking for 2 Espers, 3 characters. And Kirito is an hour behind. So as, unlike Asherin earlier, or maybe it was Siberian Bull, I don't recall. Nobody War did skip over that chest at the bottom left of the lava room. It's very rare to see anybody not do that.
I used to go for that back in the day.
Got a wind being cast on Asherin's screen.
Good old wind.
Wind from the Strontium Behemoth.
It's like Siberian Boy's gonna go for his Ice Dragon. Or maybe he's gonna skip. Oh, save first.
Save first.
Good
is
call,
the smart
good
play.
call.
Yeah. But while we're just seeing our runners repeat some stuff. Ooh, Wump on Gab. That's it's one of those abilities that you don't think about because you very rarely see it. It's just a dance ability. When an enemy uses it on you, you go, oh, it's just really fast flair, isn't it?
Yeah. And so powerful, so powerful.
Yeah. But it's a good time to go follow our runners. Maybe give us in the restream here a follow. I don't know what Jones's Twitch thing is off the top of my head, but he's also here now. Go follow him.
Here, I'll type it in there.
All right. Thank you again for jumping in when Javanader's power went all screwy.
Oh, I got banned by the mods. I can't type. I can't type links.
Well, I can at least do this. Boop.
There you go. Thank you all.
Everybody go follow Jones. He's helping out quite a bit by jumping in when he wasn't expected to. Inferno in the sky. I can fly twice as high.
There you go. Inferno is one of the bosses I used to be very scared of that I almost don't even worry about anymore. Because Inferno with scaling, depending on how low your levels are, his HP scales down really hard.
Yeah, the more dangerous part is how good your offense is, how many characters you have. Because
Yep.
he does have that delta hit if you don't take care of the arrows.
Yep. Luckily, both arms are IDable, so if you have Shote or Raiden or Odin, you can get rid of the arms pretty quick, or a break or something.
Yeah, Cleave or Air Anchor will also do it. Asherin
Yep.
fighting number 128, the predecessor to Inferno, over at Doma World of Balance. And it looks like Nobody War's about to pick up Locke, his 9th character. And then if he does Tunnel Armor, he will be nearly in go mode. Just needs those Durgans, and it's not hard to get the one you need.
Yep. Inferno throwing a stone at a stoned Edgar.
I mean, it's better than him hitting the Yeti.
That
But
is true.
this is going to be a wait and hope situation for Kirito at this point. And considering I don't think he's found sets, or he still only has 2 characters, this was just a random happenstance, which he probably isn't super happy about.
Yeah. We have Nobody War fighting as Fumbaba #1.
Yeah, Siberian about to do 2 straight up Esper checks, so he'll just need the 3 characters. And Asherin has completed the Doma check, which gives something.
Doma is another nice quick check.
Yep, if you can do it. It's a dead check in this case, though. I also learned recently that you can go fight those soldiers that are trying to jump up a wall. So, if you want to, that's a thing. And now the Imperial camp. Does he have Sabin? No, he's figured out he doesn't have Sabin. Taking off to the World of Ruin, Siberian Bull gets through the tunnel armor, of course, because it's one of the easiest bosses in the game. And Asherin going for Mount Zozo, which will yield for him a Durgan and a Mog, which was my final pickup of the game, I think.
Mount Zozo is one of my... I like that check. You can get a lot of treasure there. There's a dragon. There's no boss. And it's fairly quick as long as you take a warp stone with you.
Yeah, I 100% did not. I also had to walk out of Zone Eater's belly, regular Zozo, and somewhere else I can't remember. It wasn't a fun time, which should teach you to write down where you got warp stones.
Yes. Or to sell everything you have to buy them in the first place.
Oh, I bought them, but then I had to reset, and I apparently saved before I bought them and not after. Not a lot of fun looks like is going on with this Funbaba fight for Nobody War, because that's 2 out of 3 dead peoples.
And woo!
And a fairly low health Edgar throwing a flare.
This could be it. He's been fighting this one for a little bit, so this might be it. His Edgar's flare takes off about 4,000? Oh, 5,000.
Yep. So that Cyclonic is not going to kill him. I would personally probably just throw another flare, but he's playing it safe. And Asherin has found a red Durgan.
Siberian Bull fighting Spicy Chicken up there.
Yep. And Kirito looting Doma, which is not a play you see very often without Cyan present. There's a decent set of chests there, but 2 of them take way too long to get to, and just going to Doma in general takes a little while.
Yeah. I think considering the luck he's had on the bosses he's faced so far, he might be feeling a little just that I need to find some more treasure. I need to beef up these characters so that I can take something down.
The start of this scene was horrendous. And Kirito, I think this is his first restreamed race ever. Hasn't been around the Discord for super long, so for a new runner, this is just going to be, like, horrible.
Yeah, this is not, even for an experienced runner, this is not it's not a forgiving seed. It's not a very fun start.
No,
anytime you start with Umaro and then you have to fight Doomgaze to get anywhere, it's not good times.
Yep, you have to fight Doomgaze with 1 character.
Yeah.
I was like at 2 hours 50-ish when I finally won the thing, so I've been around for a while. That's a bad time.
It's not bad. It's not 4 hours. You're fine.
Yeah, it's not 4 hours.
It's not a forfeit.
I think I've only forfeited once, and that was when my emulator just broke.
I almost forfeited in week 6 of the last KGP.
Yeah, that was also not fun. Everything locked behind Fnatic's tower. Infamous seed.
Yeah.
We might want to start collating all the infamous seeds into one channel.
Yeah.
That people can just punish themselves with.
Yeah.
Asherin gets Mog up to 10 and 9. Nobody War gonna get his final character here with the Cyan check. Then he just needs to... If I was him, I'd probably just go fight the Dirt Dragon and go straight into Kefka's tower.
Yep, absolutely.
Siberian Bull about to get his 8th character with Locke if he gets through this Funbaba fight. And they're sort of Umaro showing off why he isn't as bad as people say. He has his problems, but he also just did 5,000 damage with essentially a regular attack.
Yep. He can be very good. It was unfortunate that he started naked this time, because that's one of his biggest pros.
The biggest draw for Umaro is almost definitely, oh, I have a snow muffler.
Yep.
But a lot of people in the Discord just straight out hate him.
I'm alright with him. I don't like him. I don't hate him. He's okay.
He has his uses.
Yeah.
Asherin going for the Mog check. He must have something faster than this. The auction house is almost definitely going to be faster than walking up and down Nersh.
It looks like Kirito found a Minerva in a shop and was very close to buying it for his Umaro, and I think he changed his mind.
Ice Rod's also available in Miranda.
Oh.
Well, yeah, anybody who can wear a Minerva, buy a Minerva.
Yeah.
It's hands down the best piece of body armor in the game. Same as if you see an Illumina for sale, all of your money is Illumina's now.
Yeah.
Siberian Bull throwing a lot of flares here. Nobody War picking up Cyan, who, because he doesn't have a visible command, therefore no stance.
And Asherin checking Lone Wolf. Let's see what we got here. No character. Sad to see that.
Yeah, not ideal after that big walk. And it's a choice between a Pearl Rod or something. Looks like Nobody Worry is going for that Durgan check. And Siberian Bull has successfully killed the Funbaba and will be gaining for himself a deadlock. I looked away from Asherin's screen. Did you see what the reward was there?
Phantom.
Okay. So another Esper.
And a decent Esper. It can be your calmness protection if you don't have anything else, even though I have never gotten it to work. I've heard tales, I've heard legends of people who have gotten it to work.
I've seen people do it on the restream, and it's so precise. Like, it's precise to the point of being almost just totally luck. Like, you can do it, and then just he hits you anyway. Like, even if you didn't attack.
Yeah.
Or you can be off by, 1,000 health or whatever, and then he just meteors you, and everybody gets hit with meteor.
Yeah. That's the best.
So White Durgan for Nobody War, and outside of this initial barrage of Pearl, not really worrying. One of the easier Durgans if you can get through that first part.
Yep, and again, this is the one that can be muted, and since the majority of his nasty attacks are Pearl, if you mute him, he's pretty much just a little puppy dog.
Yep, Siberian Bull going into this Zone Eater check with one character in his party, which is the fast way to do it. Asherin finding his 10th character and electing to climb the tower.
Kirito doing some auction house shopping here. He has a lot of money, so this might work out.
Yeah, I did not see what was in that chest, but standard practice these days for people who have a lot of money is just buy everything in the World of Ruin because the chests can't repeat. I don't usually have the money to do that. So I just take the alternate route of if something comes up you don't want reset and it's faster to just walk back in.
Yeah. If you want to do all of the, or have enough money to be able to get through all of the treasures and make it through, you need to have 80,000 GP total. That's 50,000 for the Splendid chest, and then 20,000 for Esper number 1, and 10,000 for Esper number 2. I mean, considering that they're Espers, but the way that it was explained to me by Zelfer, which means that it must be true, is there's a probability of what you're going to get at the Coliseum, and the highest probability is the Splendid chest for 50k. So if you don't buy it and go back in again, you're most likely to get that chest again.
Ah,
So you buy that one, and then the 20k reward is next. The 10k reward is next. After that, there's a another maybe 10k chest that can be anything, and then there's the imp robot.
a million imp robots. Siberian Bull got squished.
Oh
Squish.
no! I hope he saved before that.
Yep. That was pretty much his fault, though. That was if he was that far away from the exit, that was just terrible timing. But you know, sometimes you get distracted, or maybe he picked up the chest just on his way out of the second slot or something. Hard to say, but he did take the save, so
That's good.
he's not gonna lose a huge amount of time, and he's playing it safer this time, taking the first chest and waiting. That is something I mentioned earlier. If the name of the first item in that chest is long, you can have a very hard time getting to that second chest in time. Oh. What? He's in the air!
Whoa!
And now he's not. That was weird. I'm gonna write that down for Atma. It's probably related to the other vanilla bugs that happened there.
It might have been because he was moving right when the thing fell down, and
Yeah. That's
like nobody.
There's a similar thing where you can go out of bounds if you're moving straight onto the door or something at the same time it lands.
Yeah. Nobody War picking up Mog. That will put him at 12-11 too, I think.
Yep.
Well within requirements for Kefka's Tower.
Absolutely. I guess he went to here to fight a Durgan, but he doesn't seem to be up to 3 yet, so he must have skipped past it and is going to kill it on his way out. Asherin at 11-9, 4 Durgans killed. Siberian Bull still looking for 2 characters, but
Karito.
also 3 Durgans.
And Karito trying Kefka Narsh again, trying to unlock that 3rd character and move forward in this seed.
Yep, and Asherin, if he can get through this, I seem to recall, fairly easy fight, is going to be in go mode. As Nobody War technically is. Yeah, it's just an Atma weapon. That's not a worry. And Nobody War is going to fight his 3rd Durgan here in the Storm Durgan spot. And it's that red Durgan we saw earlier. Sorry, red dragon. Which I seem to recall being a pretty good movie.
Anything with the Hannibal Lecter story is prime.
I still have not watched the television show.
I haven't either. I've heard varying reviews.
I have heard exactly 0 things. But, I'll probably get around to it. Wind getting cast at Asherin. And a level 5 Doom on the Umaro that got sent at this Doom gaze.
Unfortunately, Doomgaze absorbs Blizzard.
Yeah, so
Tomorrow's going to have a
a-
tough time on this one.
tough, never-ending time. Siberian Bull taking on the Skull Durgan with a bunch of flares. Asherin eating a Quake for a fairly small amount of damage. He must be well ahead of the scaling. And as usual, a lot of flares getting thrown around because I think only 1, maybe 2 people even know a level 3 spell. I think there's only 2 Espers that are on the kind of route to Kefka's Tower that have, there's one that has Ice 3, there's one that has Bolt 3.
Yep. I found Ice 3, I did not find Bolt 3.
Bolt 3 was at the end of the Elite River. I did not find that. I found
Yeah.
Ice 3 very near the end. But Nobody War now at 3 Durgans. hopefully has a warp stone to get out of here. And Asherin has successfully killed the Atma weapon, and Siberian Bull has successfully killed the Skulldurgan. Nobody War at nearly level 50, so shouldn't have too much trouble with the end game.
Yep, it looks like we might be seeing Asherin and Nobody War head into Kefka's Tower around the same time.
Yeah, if I was Nobody War, I would definitely just elect to take on one of the dragons in Kefka's Tower. And two people going in different directions in Fanatic's Tower. Both doing leg day on the stairs. And we do have Nobody War heading into Kefka's Tower. No Valiant Knife plays at all.
Sad day, sad day.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain every person went to South Figaro World of Balance. So maybe they just didn't want to do it. Maybe they forgot it was there. Maybe they skipped the weapon shop. I don't know. But pretty much I think all three of the not half-speed players did check both the relic shop in Narsh, which has the offering and the muscle belt, and the weapon shop in World of Balance South Figaro, which has the Valiant Knife.
Yeah, this seed was built for Valiant Knife strats.
Yep. Especially considering until you get that Dragon Horn, there's not a lot else you can do for high-level damage plays.
Yeah. Kirito going up against Doomgaze again, this time taking Edgar.
Probably the smarter choice. Nobody War thinking real hard about what to put on that Go-Go. And Atma Weapon taking nearly 7k from that flare on Siberian Bull's screen, showing off those levels that he continued to gain pretty much throughout the seed.
Oof.
Asherin taking some last-minute chops, picking up some remedies and so on.
Kirito having a tough time with that Doomgaze. Launcher, never like to see Launcher.
Yeah, that's what he threw at me the whole time, was missiles and launchers and Doom. Same with Welk, actually. He also threw a bunch of missiles and launchers at me. I didn't appreciate it. I don't like having Umaro for Welk.
I lucked out on Welk because Umaro hit him and got killed immediately, and then it was fine after that.
Well, everything's fine once Umaro is dead. Well, yeah, Welk and basically anything with multiple parts, you don't really want to marrow. It's too uncontrolled. Asherin seems to take a reset there for some reason. Maybe he forgot to pick up an item he wanted. I think he did try to go to Kefka's Tower and then took a reset for some reason. Not sure what was going on there.
Yeah, me neither. I missed that.
And, Asherin moving on almost to the Inferno spot here. Siberian Bull looking for 2 characters. 3 Durgans, probably going to fight the White Durgan on the way down out of here, I would imagine. If he didn't fight it on the way up. And what does Inferno have for us today?
Oh, that was beautiful.
Yeah, I'm a master of jingles. You know that song Jingle Bells? That's written about me.
That's nice. I never knew.
My stage name is Bells.
There's Siberian Bull picking up character number 9.
Yep. Number 24, Fight for Nobody War. Not generally any kind of an issue. Although at certain points in the scaling, if your offense is a bit wonky, he can start doing really annoying stuff if you can't kill him fast enough. He is, however, weak to almost every status ailment in the game. Aside from, like, stun. So you can turn him into an imp. I'm pretty sure you can mute him. You can definitely poison him. He might be petrifiable. You can do basically anything you want.
He also doesn't start. He will do the wall changing like Magi Master, but not until later usually,
Yeah,
and not nearly as often.
And that's when he starts throwing the terrible things once he gets to that point, if you haven't killed him fast enough, he will start doing like S tier spells, which is a weird thing for a boss from like maybe a third of the way of the game to do.
Yeah.
Back to Omero for Doomgaze Kirito and another reset. Siberian Bull fighting the Pearl Durgan in the Dirt Durgan spot. Yeah, Kirito not having a nice time. This is very much not a beginner-friendly seed, and as I mentioned, this is certainly the first time he's been on a restream. I don't think he's been playing for too long.
No.
Nobody War's gotten through that number 24 pretty handily. So we got two people in pretty solid contention for first place. I think Nobody War probably has the edge. I think he's got more offense in general, but he does have to stop to kill a dragon. And Asherin already has his form. Dirt Durgan for Nobody War. Quite possibly the most dangerous Durgan. It's either this or the Storm Durgan.
Mm-hmm. Nobody War seems to have a pretty stacked team going in, though, so I don't think he's going to have any problem.
No, if you ever walk into Kefka's Tower and you have a character with over 5,000 health who's not wearing a muscle belt, I think you're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
And unlike Siberian Bull, we did only see him stop, like, he tried to do the checks and then couldn't, and then grinded for, I don't know, 5 minutes, and then didn't grind again. Well, he stopped to grind twice, the first time for much less time. I think he just got a couple levels out of it. Whereas Siberian Bull ran around without his Moogle Charm for a fair chunk of the seed, as he usually does. Kirito accidentally running into a soldier there due to slightly inefficient routing through that little Kefka nurse check. It can take a little while to learn exactly where you're supposed to go there.
Yeah, I think that was the first time he didn't get that right.
Yep. Nobody War picking up that Valiant knife from the Durgan. Doesn't have any offerings as far as I know. Nobody bought any offerings. Nobody bought any Valiant knives. I don't understand what these people are doing.
What's going on?
It's exactly the opposite of how I spent my entire siege.
Let's just hope that this tap dancer battle does not get Kirito to a level multiple of 5.
That wouldn't be ideal. Siberian Bull going for Devril's Tomb, which I believe was an Esper.
Yep.
So that should be him in go mode. Asherin taking out number 24. So just on the heels of Nobody War. Not entirely. He keeps popping into his menu, and I keep. Okay, he's almost level 50 as well, so the level difference between them is not huge. So it should be pretty close. Gonna come down to Locket Kefka and Strats for Kefka.
Absolutely. This is the way I like to see a restreamed race end, though.
Yeah, you want some kind of. I mean, it's sometimes fun to see someone be like 30 minutes ahead of everyone else, just because it shows off how good you can be, but it's usually more satisfying to watch a race where people end at approximately the same time.
Yeah. And so far through this KGP, I think that almost all of the races have ended that way, with a couple of the runners being so close.
Yeah, and aside from this one, had some pretty heavily skewed time finishes in off stream, but certainly on stream we're getting. Oh, Siberian Bull has found it's an Esper and is resetting. But yeah, on stream we're getting some pretty close results, which is always fun. I'm actually kind of surprised how close these three racers are. Kirito obviously doesn't count with the half speed thing going on. Because you look at the finishing times that aren't, Jack Boo's over, and they start around 2:10, 2:15 and go all the way past 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to see these three. Siberian Bull's a little bit behind, but if he picks the right check, he has a chance if the others have a rotten Kefka to pull first place. I seem to recall it being the last KGP where we had 3 people all start Kefka at completely random times. 2 of them died multiple times to Kefka, and the person who everyone thought was going to lose still won.
Yeah.
That was a fantastic ending.
That was. I remember that.
Yeah, I think Jack got there first, died to final Kefka, took another reset on Kefka at some point. I don't remember who was second and third, but the third person entered the Kefka fight like 15 minutes after the other 2 and still won. So, it's never a guarantee who's going to win in this game. A lot of the time, tiers 2 and 3 can be rude to you, and if you're not paying attention, tier 3 can just throw an ultimate on your tier 4 rather can throw an ultimate in your face.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And sometimes I can get to Kefka fairly early, or getting to the final battle, and just not having the offense.
Yep.
And it can be a real slog, and you can sit there and fight that battle for 10 to 15 minutes while somebody else goes through the entire tower and catches right up to you.
Yeah, if you're doing quite well on offense and stuff, you can pretty handily do the full final Kefka battle in less than 8 minutes. But it can also take, 15 or 20 if you're quite underpowered.
Yeah.
And if you take a wipe, then that's a lot of time to build back up.
Absolutely.
Asherin onto a goddess statue with Ultros, which we just saw Nobody War kill. Actually using slots for 7 flush, which is, what else are you going to do with Strago?
We got Kirito looking for another path forward.
Unfortunately, there isn't one.
Yeah, unfortunately. I think at this point, I would probably be... I saw that he was doing a lot of shopping, not finding what he was looking for, so it might be a point where you just start grinding. If you can out-level that Doomgaze, then you can power through.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't remember where that safety bit was. I think it was in
it's
a
in Umaro's cave
bucket and...
or on the way
Oh,
there.
okay. Yeah.
And it's a goddess fight for Nobody War. Not a fight you want to see when you're mostly relying on physical stuff. Or in this case, if your party isn't very good.
Yeah. It's going to be a flaring good time.
I see what you've done there.
Yes.
And that's a womp.
For 3,000 damage.
Yeah, it's not a nice spell to be hit by. Asherin also having some trouble with some muddle going on. And Ultros has moved, which means something most people might not know. Every different slot that Ultros appears in when he goes down and comes back up is a completely different enemy. They have their own health bars. So, especially in Normalize and Distort stats, you gotta kill it fast.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're essentially starting the battle over in the middle of it. And that's a reset for Nobody War.
With a goner coming from Goddess.
Not an attack you usually want to see. Siberian Bull finding some fixed dice, not what they're looking for. And Kirito pretty clearly just deciding to grind it out.
Yeah.
So here we are, 2.5 hours in. We do have a sort of hard cutoff at 3 hours, but I think we might see probably 3 of these people. At least 2 of them will finish out before then. Might stick around a few extra minutes to see Siberian Bull finish out. Obviously, with the issues Kirito's going through, we're not going to be waiting for that, but you can go watch their stream after it if you feel like it.
Absolutely.
And yeah, another statue for Asherin. and it's that goddess fight. So hopefully he has a bit of a better party, and it certainly seems like he does. Two pretty high-level characters. Unfortunately, not making the decision to morph before throwing that flare, but making the smart choice and changing out the Pearl Lance for an Aura Lance, because Goddess absorbs Holy. Nobody War has found a Dataluma. I guess he elected to go forward with another party first, and maybe rearrange some equipment before trying Goddess again.
Oh, and Siberian Bull heading into the burning house.
Yeah, interesting choice this late in the game. He is still looking for a character. I don't honestly remember what checks he has and hasn't done. Let's see.
I think his last character was Setzer. Both of Setzer's checks were non-characters. I think at this point, it's... Oh, who is it? He has lock, so I guess tunnel armor. I haven't been paying that much attention, I guess.
I'm just trying to look it up on the sheet here. He doesn't have Cyan yet, so if you did the Self-Trigger okay with lock, that would be a thing.
It could be he may not have even gotten lock. I think he has lock.
I don't know how he could have gotten... Yeah, he definitely has lock, so... Electing to do one of the longest checks in the game instead of one of the shortest, maybe he just forgot that lock was a thing?
Perhaps.
Because, yeah, he hasn't done any of Locke's checks. He hasn't even done the weapon shop, which is a 2-second check.
He could also be taking advice from Kay Toyzik, who will always tell you to go to the burning house.
I did win a mini tournament by doing the burning house both times, and last week in the weekly, I got a stupid low time by doing the burning house when I didn't have to. But usually it's not a good decision.
Ashrin getting through that goddess, yeah.
Oh no, someone's berserk tomorrow. What is he gonna do? Okay, 2 switches for Ashrin. Nobody War seems to have left Kefka's tower and rearranged his party just so he can get through that goddess. I guess that's why he did the other statue first. So that again shows you not even final Kefka, but just unfortunate party composition can kind of ruin your day at this point.
Yep.
So that's
not something you want to do to get yourself in a position where you have to get out of Kefka's tower and back in. That's a real time killer.
Yep. So Ashrin definitely gaining a significant lead there, and what is even the reward for the burning house? It's an item, so Siberian Bull's not going to be happy about this.
Absolutely not. Kirito, unfortunately, having a hard time with the fight he chose to grind on Evil Oscars while both of his characters have Pearl Lances on. It's not working out.
Yeah, that is not... That would be a reset for me, and try somewhere else.
Yeah.
Evil Oscar's not a fun enemy to kill. Like, even if you have offense, Sourmouth can just mess with you pretty hard.
Yeah, as we can see with his Edgar there.
Yep, good old Confusey Imp, who just blocked a spear shot from himself. Which, I mean, that's some skill. Spears are long. But he got through it. And
he did.
Ashrin fighting that Dataluma we saw earlier on Nobody War's screen. And Bull finds Vargas in the Ipoos. So.
Nobody War blazing back through the tower, trying to make up that lost time.
Yep, you do unfortunately have to hit the switches and stuff again. So that does take a minute. And it's mostly just a lot of walking. But, ooh, Ashrin went from super on top of everything to holy crap, he's dying.
Dataluma at high levels, especially on random, can be He can be a bit of a toughie.
Yeah, Dataluma has 3 different counters. Not counter in the sense of he will hit you back with it, but in the sense of he's got 3 numbered counters. So if his counter counts up to 4 on physical attacks that he's taken, or if it counts up to 2 on magic attacks he's taken, or if he runs below a certain amount of health, he will start doing pretty obnoxious stuff. Even with vanilla abilities, he will just start throwing things at you. And any time in this game something's throwing stuff at you,
That's not a good time. Yeah. Dataluma up in the air now.
I presume that's how he got on top of the tower.
Haha.
Umaro very slowly walking into Narsh. Probably tired from his day and just wants to go home.
He does appear to be walking right back to his cave.
Asherin does take out Dataluma with all his characters off on their feet, so good job on the recovery there. Siberian Bull will be finding his final character in this here check. So that will be him in go mode. Nobody more has put Umaro on his own in a party.
That must be a route that he has already defeated all the enemies in.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't mess up his movement in the switch bits, because you can... I mean... If it was vanilla bosses, there are reasons to go, oh, well, maybe I'll move this party over here instead. But I do the same routing through the switches every time, just so I know where people are going.
Yeah, same way.
And Umaro pushes the 4-ton block with his big, strong Yeti arms. Siberian Bull finds the Strontium Behemoth, and Asherin's about to start Final Kefka. I'm about to sneeze.
Well, bless you.
Thank you, Father.
Siberian Bull having no trouble with the Behemoth. And Kirito going back to the Gold Dragon.
Yep. As stated before, if you have a Thunder Shield, it's impossible to die to it. Also, Runic is available. But Asherin now putting together his final party as Siberian Bull finds a Cyan that everyone looked at and went, oh no.
And nobody warping out of Kefka's tower again. That solo Umaro did not work out.
Oh, he messed it up. No. That's a self-chancellery if I've ever seen it. Did not think that through properly, I guess.
Yeah.
But Asherin on tier 1 of Final Kefka. Siberian Bull doing some final shopping, it looks like. And nobody more jumping back into Kefka's tower.
Third time's a charm.
I feel bad for him.
Yeah. After a seed like this, and especially when you start to get towards the end of 2 hours, coming up on 3, and going through what these racers have gone through to get here, nerves are probably getting pretty frayed at this point.
Oh yeah, my nerves were gone after the first 20 minutes, I think. Because I had to sign up to do restreams like last minute, so I had to do it the instant the seed dropped because I wouldn't have had time otherwise. I finished at like 1:32 in the morning. It wasn't a nice time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can definitely see some people, at some point your brain just shuts off.
Yeah. And unfortunately, whenever you get to that point, that's when mistakes start to happen, or you start to make bad decisions just because of frustration, and sometimes it can just compound things.
Yeah, and especially at the end of a seed, the bad decisions you make tend to cost you a lot more time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Asheron throwing some decent damage here with his spells and so on. He's got a jumpy, he's got some flares going on. Throwing 5k a shot with those.
Yeah. No morph though still.
Yeah.
Much to your chagrin.
Well, in this case, I would hold on to morph until final Kefka. Just that's generally what I do, unless I had like a Ultima or a multi-target spell. You know, like a solid one, Merton or something.
Yeah. Naku in chat talking about Marth's challenge seed for anybody who hasn't checked that out yet. If you like to have a good time for a long time, then check out the Discord and in the race channel, go to that one. That's a fun time.
But I thought we were here for a good time, not a long time.
I don't think that we would ever restream a race of that one. Apparently Marth and his crew do, though.
Yes, they have that whole French channel stuff going on. Which, if anybody here at a Francophone might want to look into. We don't hear much about it on the Discord, so I can't really link you to anything.
Yeah.
But they do kind of run a separate French community of this randomizer. But first Durgan in Kefka's Tower here for Siberian Bull. It is an Ice Durgan. Generally one of the least threatening, but Northern Cross can cost you a lot of time.
Yep, especially here when you're running with thinned out parties, and it always seems to target your one good character.
Yeah, I hear that. Asheron
Some sort
on
of special
tier 2.
coding.
Tier 2. Throwing all the flares still. Umaro's still got that storm going on, doing all the ice damage to the ice boss. Dead Strago. Kirito still plugging away at that gold Durgan.
I think at this point it's a principle thing.
Yeah.
And it's going down one way or another.
It's gonna die sometime.
He's throwing flares. I think if I were in his situation here, I might put my Edgar in the front row and just attack with the Pearl Lance and hope for procs.
Well, he's got the jumps with the Dragon Horn that can proc. It's interesting that a lot of the people... I mean, Mog's not very fast, Edgar's not very fast. A lot of the people who are strong or inherent Dragoons are kind of the worst people to make Dragoons, because it takes a long time to come down and it is based on your speed.
Yeah.
But also, if you don't have an offering and a decent offering weapon, it's one of the best defensive choices.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just up to what you can equip. I mean, Mog and Edgar with, being able to equip all those good lances makes them pretty much the obvious choice for jumping.
They're the natural Dragoons. This is one of the few cases where most people would say running shoes are a viable option. Because unless you really know how to do the waiting trick in the menu, you're not going to get a lot of use out of haste, but it does still make you come down faster from above.
I didn't know that.
3 frozen-y people. That's
not great to see.
Not good. But yeah, I like to do that sometimes, or if you get a Speed Plus Esper and you know that you've got a Dragoon in the making, throw a Speed Plus on them if you've got no Strength Ups, because that will also make them come down faster. So...
I think if I were Asheron, what I'd be hoping here would be a Merton.
Yeah, Merton would be good. I don't think there was any real fire damage available in terms of spells to learn. But there's Fire 3 in the face, so that went pretty well.
There you go.
Nobody more back on the goddess, but with 4 people this time.
Yeah, he said
4
this
level
is
50
not...
characters.
Yeah. Goddess and her army of small rodents are not going to beat me this time.
How could they? I mean, he's doing 5 to 8k. There's another Goner. But Goner's weirdly not that dangerous if you actually are a decent level.
Yeah. And having all of your party members there to take the multi-hit down
Yeah.
definitely helps.
Siberian Bull taking a reset on some bad status effects from number 24 there. You had a muddle and something else going on. Apparently using Edgar as a caster if he's wearing an earring and a gold hairpin. Gold hairpin at this point I would say is not worth a relic slot. Probably by the time you're about halfway through the game, if you're not like casting Ultima or Merton every turn, you don't need to be saving all your MPs.
Yeah.
They're quite useful at the start because it lets you use higher tier spells early when they can be really, really useful. Same with the Economizer. But usually by the end you have ways to recover your MP sufficiently that the only... I mean, you don't run out in most battles either, except for the 4-tier final boss.
Yeah. Usually you'll find some sort of healing along the way throughout, you know, doing your checks and stuff that you can recover your MP before you need to heal it up.
Yep, you'll either find Osmos or a bunch of elixirs or mega elixirs or so on. It's not usually an issue. Unless you have really high tier spells, kind of a lowish level to be going into the endgame, and you're on final Kefka.
Yeah.
But Asheron onto tier 3 and Nobody War takes out that goddess. Kirito still fighting the gold dragon. And number 24, muddling a less important character for Siberian Bull this time. I'm sure he's happy about that.
Still choosing to heal up?
Yeah, probably some spells and stuff on Gao that he doesn't want to see getting used. Asheron does have Fenrir. Nobody War also has Fenrir. I imagine Siberian Bull has Fenrir or Golem. There were two commonest solutions, like perfect commonest solutions available. So.
Yeah, I think by the time you got here, you pretty much had to have at least one of them.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain you would have run into one of them just naturally, based on where characters were. Number 24 dies, and Nobody War moving on to final Kefka. Kirito still fighting the gold dragon.
If I remember correctly, I looked this up before. I think the gold dragon has about 34,000 hit points when it's unscaled.
I have no idea.
It's a pretty chunky dragon.
It's a big number. Oh, last minute dragon horn for Siberian Bull in a chest that I no longer go out of my way for.
Yeah, same here.
Usually once you get to Kefka's Tower, you don't really want to be picking up chests, unless they're right in front of your face. And even then, you probably don't want to pick them.
Yeah, I think the only time I do any treasure hunting in Kefka's Tower is if they're right in the way, and if I still don't have a Mega Elixir yet.
Yeah, and sometimes you can get there and just not be confident about what you've got going on. Some seeds just aren't super nice in terms of giving you strategies that are better than middling, so...
Yep.
You know, occasionally you'll see even top-end runners get to Kefka's Tower and pick up everything, but it's not common.
Yeah. Asheron taking the Meteo Barrage.
Yeah, does have Fenrir up, so he's just looking to get rid of Sleep. Nobody War trying for the X-Zone kill on Long Arm and failing. X-Zone, I don't know what the probabilities are on it, but I don't generally find it's particularly accurate. Asheron moving on to final Kefka. So at this point, he's got the damage output, he's got the health, he just needs to count.
Yep.
There's a break in Kefka's health at 35k where he starts charging for Goner, and will start countering afterwards with Havoc Wing and such. And there's a break at 60k where he starts throwing ultimas at you if you hit. So If you can count and try to hit him only when he's charging for Goner, you're pretty much set.
Yep.
Immediate landing for 10k from Edgar with a Pearl proc. That's a pretty solid opening.
Absolutely. If you can take enough damage or take enough health off of Kefka before he gets to cast... What am I trying to say here? Fallen One.
Yep.
That's also great because then you can skip that whole mess.
Yeah, an unfortunate wind cast at Siberian Bull there, but he does have apparently Cure 3 sitting around, so probably gonna get through that fight. Nobody War on Tier 1. There might be an issue there, but it was just a little bit of chunkiness. So, unless Asherin messes up his counting, we've probably got our first place finisher with him. But, you know, stuff can always go wrong at the last minute.
Yep. And this has been a very flare-heavy seed. That might be why it's taken so long, just because maybe half an hour or 45 minutes has just been flare animations.
Yeah, at least 2 of our runners have access to a level 3 spell. They're just opting not to use it. I don't know if they didn't bother to learn it or what, but in general, I would rather cast a level 3 spell than flare.
Yep.
It's
Agreed.
it takes like a second or 2, whereas flare takes literally 13. And it's gonna do nearly as much damage, if not more, if you can hit a weakness.
And Kirito taking down that gold dragon.
Yay! So
Taking his Edgar up to level 27 and getting him a cat hood. There's Asherin with the first Kefka kill.
a Krakow. Good job, Asherins. I will get his time here. Could you? Where is the screen? So Asherin is our winner with unofficial time. Oh. 2 hours, 53 minutes, 29. 2 hours, 53, 29. Boop. And we'll see if we can get him in for an interview. So GG's everyone to Asherin, our first place restream finisher. It's been a rough seed for everyone, as you can tell when the first place finisher took nearly 3 hours. But he got through it. It seemed like Nobody War was in the lead for a while, but sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes things don't work out. And Nobody War is still hot on his heels, so...
Yep, working up to Tier 2 now.
Yep, and Siberian Bull is on his first switch, so we'll probably see an end to his game by 3:15 at most. And we're gonna pull Asherin in here. Hello, Asherin, GG's.
Why, thank you. First off, I would like to say I'm sorry, Kat, and also why, Vaughn? Why?
Yeah. How did you find that
Good.
seat?
Right? Like, I mean, granted, Vaughn only picked A or B, so still, at the core, it's Ravlin. But still, like, oh my goodness.
Isn't it always Ravlin, though?
Right? Exactly. So yeah, that was a rough one.
Yeah, I wrote down a question for you that is one word, and I don't understand what it means anymore. Maybe you'll be able to tell me. It just says
Okay.
relic.
Do what?
It just says relic.
Relic.
It's the most useless piece of knowledge I've written down ever in a restream.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could think of is, I don't know how many times I kept forgetting to put my Moogle Charm back on. And I was getting so frustrated by that, because I'd be like, da-da-da, oh, crap.
That might have been it.
Moogle Charm.
But yeah, so the start of that was entirely railroaded by Kefka and Narsh.
Yeah, as soon as I got through all those opening checks and that first wipe, I was just like, it's at Kefka. The one time I don't hit Kefka early, it's Kefka.
Yeah, and Doomgay's there that you had to fight with one character. You're the
Yeah.
only one that didn't leave to grind.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, I just figured there was fixed encounters. I needed one level at least. So
Yeah. Oh, that was amusing. You got there and you were exactly level 5.
I was 10. I was level 10, and I was just like, oh my goodness. And I didn't even know. At first, I thought I was fine because my save file said level 6 because stupid Yeti.
Yeah.
So I thought I was fine when I saw that, and then I saw Edgar die, and I was like, what level is Edgar? Because, yeah, Yeti's been dead the past couple boss fights, so... Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I have one question I'm gonna ask everyone. Did you not see Valiant Knives for sale?
I did, but I was already committed to all my other stuff. and I have a bad memory. They were in South Figaro, right?
They were in South Figaro, and there were offerings for sale in Narsh as well as Montreal.
Right, I saw the offerings in the Valiant Knives super early on, but I was already committed to Pearl Lance Dragon, and then just trying to go Magic. In hindsight, I might have tried to get the Gil, but I don't know how other people do it, but like I always just never have money. So
in the case
I know
of this
that life.
save, there wasn't a lot of money kicking around, but I did sell essentially everything in my inventory to buy those.
Yeah, usually when I find something that works, I typically, unless I'm coming about that shop naturally again, I just don't bother. So
Yeah, there aren't many things I would go super out of my way for, but Valiant Knife offering is one of the most potent strategies in the game. So.
yeah, and I definitely
nice.
did contemplate going back for them, but I was like, I feel like I'm not really struggling too bad, and we'll see what we can do. So
Yeah,
worst case, I would have just kicked myself and been like, I should have done that instead.
Yeah, so you went heavy on Magic. How did you feel about only having Flare for most of the game?
You know, it's one of those things. I was too far committed, and I'm real bad about updating my Espers. But I had an Esper with Pearl on it, and I don't know why I didn't teach everybody Pearl instead. But yeah,
you did the Leet River, right?
No, I did not do the Leet River.
Okay, it must have been Nobody War. But I'm pretty sure you got an Ice 3 Esper towards the end.
I did at the very end, and so yeah, that wasn't too bad. But I was just like, there was no real tier 3 magic, and Flare was kind of like my best of the items. So I was like, well, I'm just gonna do this and see how it goes.
Well,
at least I know nothing absorbs Flare, so.
Yeah, Flare ignores defense and is non-elemental, so it will work on anything in the game. So yeah. Good call on that, I guess. It got you through it. You did enter Kefka's tower after Nobody War. Well, he got to Goddess and had to leave. And then he re-entered.
No.
He re-entered and made his party wrong and had to leave again.
Oh no!
Yeah, so he wasn't too far ahead of you, but that definitely cost him first place. Yeah.
That definitely hurts. Yeah.
4 or 5 minutes on you, but yeah. So,
man,
that was a fun little bit of watch.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions in particular, Jones? I know you weren't here the whole time.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, well, you got.
Just want to say, yeah, congratulations, good job on the run. Way to make do with a seed that gave nothing, except Valiant Knives and offerings. 253
weirdly for this seed is not even that bad.
Really? Yeah, I haven't gone into the other room yet to see where it ranks, but
the only person who finished under 2 hours is Zelfer, because of course he did.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, but once you get past like Boo, Zelfer, Jack, you're at 210 plus.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
And for me, sub 3 hours is always a win. So.
Well, there you go. You got any other thoughts before we let you go here? We're about to see Nobody War finish up his Kefka fight.
No, just shout outs to Atmotech, this amazing randomizer. I'm have just so much fun playing this thing. And shout out to you guys and the Restream team. It's great to be here. So thank you guys for helping out and putting on these little events for everybody.
Yeah, well, thanks for a great race. GG's on first place, and we'll see you around the next time.
Alrighty, thank you.
So we are seeing a train getting taken in the face and followed up by the end of a condemned. Not a great sequence of events there. And then a calmness to Edgar. Not nice at all.
No.
I think he was trying to go for Palador strats there, considering there were 2 people in the air. So he's down to Celeste and Setzer. 2 of his main characters having died. Setzer was a fairly... I don't think we saw him using Setzer, so someone else must have died there while we were talking to Asheron. So
Yeah.
this is not ideal. We have Double Mog, Celeste, and Setzer. And Siberian Bull moves on to Tier 1, throwing nearly 9k on the flares. Which shows you what levels do.
Yeah. Luckily for Nobody War, I mean, maybe not the best characters, but everybody does have decent health, so playing it safe and just counting and making sure that they know where they're at, I think this can still be a fairly easy fight.
Yeah, most of the danger in Final Kefka is Tier 2 and 3. Tier 2 can just randomly ruin your run. It's not super common, but it does happen. And Tier 3 is often the end of a Kefka fight. It's much less rare that you see someone actually die to Final Kefka if they're a reasonable level. So probably he'll get through this.
Yep. Sometimes you miscount or you just don't pay enough attention and something wacky happens and that's when things can fall apart, but
yeah,
it looks like Kirito is going to go back to Doomgaze and give it another shot after gaining some levels and getting some more equipment and
5
see if it works out
Espers.
this time.
So that shows you he must have done every other available check if he has 5 Espers. Level 27 Edgar should be able to get rid of a Doomgaze, but still sitting on 2 characters. As we said, everything is locked behind this one check, and it's not a nice check at all.
It is not. And I don't think that he has the safety bit or anything like that still, so he will have to luck out on the Doomcast.
Yep, he did do Umaro's Cave and stuff, but thinking to equip that safety bit is a pretty high-level strategy. I don't think I even did. It's one of those things that I pick up and immediately forget I have, because it's very rarely useful.
Yeah.
But in a situation like this, you can see how sometimes it's incredibly useful.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Not something we're likely to see him... Oh, I see why he's wound up fighting that soldier so many times. He's doing the routing where you go all the way on the left, which is much tighter than sit in the middle for a second and then go down there. Nobody War about to take a goner. The most anime of all animations in this game.
Yeah.
But as usual, if you're a reasonably high level, it doesn't actually do that much damage. You're much more concerned about Hammock Wing, frankly.
Yeah, I think that was during the time when Square Enix was making these super incredible final boss skills, kind of like Sephiroth's Universe Destroyer skill, whatever that was called, that did, where he would destroy the entire solar system, but it only did 700 damage to you.
Yeah, good old destroying an entire solar system to do a moderate amount of damage.
Yeah.
And that is a Krakow for Nobody War with an official
GG's
time
Nobody
of
War.
3:05 something. So he is our second place finisher. We'll see if we can get him in for an interview. Whilst, where's my mouse? Whilst Siberian Bull works on Tier 2. And Kirito takes another pass at that Doomgaze. With the flare and the almost level 30 Edgar, it probably shouldn't be an issue. That Doom Gaze is going to be, what, level 14, 16-ish?
Somewhere right around this. This is what I'm worried about right here. Oh,
Yeah, that's... When a boss has an insta-kill move and you've got one character, you've got problems.
yeah.
Like, there's...
Especially when there's no other way around it.
No, you can buy a wall ring, which I think reflects Doom. You can put on a insta-kill preventing relic, of which there are, I think, only 2. Or you can try over and over and over.
Yeah, I do think he has reflect as a spell.
Uh,
That's not something I thought about actually. Reflect.
No, he has been running around with unfortunate espers for a while, so the reflect is, I think, a thing he has also. But thinking to use it, I'm not sure is a thing. Like,
Yep.
Doom seems like a spell that shouldn't be reflectable. Just if you're going by intuition.
Right. Yep.
So whether or not he would think to do that, I couldn't say. So yeah, might just see him taking a few passes at it, whilst Siberian Bull makes fairly short work of this final Kefka. Umaro hitting for 4,000 damage with what I presume are Dragon Claws.
I think that's the Tiger Fangs.
I mean, there's really only 2 options there, Art.
Yes.
The claws are one of the reasons Sabin isn't a very good character. Certainly in the rando. If it's vanilla, you can get Bum Rush and then he's awesome. But in the rando, his equipment pool can often be an annoyance.
Yeah. Tiger Fangs are a decent equipment. They've got good stats and high attack power. It just depends on what you're going to be doing, I suppose. Most people, I think, with Sabin elect to boost his magic power and go for, if it's vanilla abilities using those blitzes, a lot of them use magic power.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like a lot of the characters in here, depending on what you get for your commands, you may just be using magic because it's the only viable option.
Sabin is... Like, in vanilla, he's not even an attacker. He's a bad caster. Because almost all of his good blitzes are magic power dependent, so you gotta pump up his magic stat. But the other thing about vanilla is if you use magic at all, the game is stupid easy.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like we're gonna be getting Nobody War in here for an interview, so we'll just continue to watch Siberian Bull trouncing Kefka. And, hoping
with
that...
levels like that, this battle does go pretty quickly.
Yeah. And, he's got pretty much the same solutions everybody else does. So, it shows you how much difference levels make.
Yep, absolutely.
Everyone else also had pretty... Like, Asheron and Nobody War were level 50-ish. But Siberian Bull's gotta be closing on 60.
Yeah, I feel like, especially when you start to get higher, the curve for your levels, and maybe it's because enemies stop scaling, and the final battle is usually unscaled. So by the time you start to get way up there, even a small gain in levels from 50 to 55, or whatever, something like that, can make a big difference.
Yeah, that's something that's not inherently obvious about this game, is that levels matter way more than stats. Like, get the stats if you can. If you've got a magic +2 or a strength +2 Esper, stick it on someone that you intend to use that stat with. But mostly what you want is just something.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not wearing... The magic plus matters more than the strength plus, but if you're not wearing them pretty much from before level 20, you're not going to get that much effect out of them. You're gonna get way more just from going up, 10 or 20 levels.
Yep. I used to try to wait and put off gaining any levels or anything because I thought I would try and get that Esper, I'm gonna find Magic Esper, I'm gonna find the HP Esper before I start
100%.
gaining levels, and most of the time it's gonna work against you.
Oh, he's looking at Reflect, not using it. He's Buzz Poisoned and Regened, which I find kind of amusing. Doom misses, that's nice. And Siberian Bull takes a train in the face. They really didn't put those rails down very well in Zozo.
No.
So, Siberian Bull moving on to final Kefka with a much nicer party than Nobody War wound up with, not losing any of his starting characters. And we are now at the 3 hour 12 mark, so we'll try to pull Siberian in for an interview after this, but what with Kirito's emulator issues and so on, and our usual cutoff of 3 hours, we're not going to be following the rest of their race. But, good luck to them, and we'll see if we can throw a host at them or something.
Yeah.
And just a final Kefka here, so again, go follow our runners. Go follow us, and also Jones, who is here. Do I have a... I can throw that in. www.twitch. Not Twatch. Twatch is not a website, or at least if it is, I probably don't want to go there.
If it is, you do not want to go there.
Go follow Jones. He helped us out by jumping in when Javinator's power died. And again, we are running a little survey. We're going to be making some changes to the restream in the near future, and it would be nice to get some viewer input on what direction we sort of go. Or at least to help with that. So yeah, if you want to, it's real short. It's like 10 questions. If you want to take 2 minutes and fill it out, that'd be super helpful.
Yeah, one thing I really love about this rando is the community, and the fact that most of the things that seem to make it into the rando, or most of the things that make it fun in the first place are all due to the community. So having things like this and having people from the community give their feedback and help shape what it is that we do is, I think, great.
Yeah, this rando does have an excellent community, and frankly, it's like a lot of that is on some of the admins who have put a lot of work into events and so on, but more so than any other like ongoing development I've ever been involved with, a lot of that is on Atma, who is just incredibly like humble and willing to listen to everything people have to say and takes in feedback. With a lot of developers get very precious about their game. Atma is not like that, and I appreciate that about him a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And not to mention extremely talented too, because some of the things that he's been able to craft into this are it's just amazing.
Taking an Ultima to the face, but tanking it with the levels and the health. Well, yeah, this randomizer is like, what, a year and a bit old at this point? And it's...
I think February was the anniversary.
Yeah, so much has been done in that time period. Atma works really hard. Another Ultima to the face.
Still
Siberian
2 characters
Bull,
alive. Whew!
Siberian Bull apparently just impatient at this point.
Like I said, you start to get to this time and the frustration takes over and you make decisions. It may have just been Umaro making those decisions for him, though.
It's gonna be a correct cow.
GG.
I think Siberian is going to be back in a moment for an interview, but sometimes you need those bio breaks. Especially after a 3-hour siege. But an official time of 3 hours 15:23, which I will put into the thing. 3:15:23. So that's our third place restreamer tonight. We will wait a moment for them to return. And see what they have to say about the seed. I will put on some background music. Well, yeah, interesting seed overall. People definitely coming in fairly close at the end there between Asher and Nobody War. Nobody War obviously losing a bit of time, unfortunately, with the party organization, but not everything works out every time.
Yeah.
And yeah, we seem to have Siberian Bull waiting here, so we will pull them in. And GG's there, Siberian.
That seed was ugly. I hated it. I hated every bit of that seed.
Yeah,
I lost so much time in so many places.
that was the general consensus, that it was just awful. I do have one question for you, I think. Well, two questions. I have one question I'm going to ask everyone. I guess I'll ask the specific question first. You went and did, like, every Strago check before thinking of any of the, like, tunnel armor or Nersh.
Oh, I know. I gambled.
Okay. So that was a deliberate choice. You didn't just forget you had block or something.
No, I gambled.
All right, fair enough.
Well, the magic tower was more planned than anything for the dragon in there.
Yeah.
But the going into the burning house, no, that was gamble.
Okay. That gamble has won me some races before, so sometimes it works out. In this case tonight, I guess it didn't. The other question I had for everyone is, did you not see Valiant Knives for sale?
No, I saw the Valiant Knives. I completely forgot them because I also saw Offering and Narsh.
Okay, so nobody on stream bought either of those items, and I thought it was...
I'll tell you another reason why.
Yeah?
Because I was looking for dragon boots.
Ah.
Because there are so many spears in this seed, why shouldn't I be going for dragon boots?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. There were the makings of dragoons pretty readily available.
I think there were 2 dragon horns too.
There was a
I only
dragon
found
horn somewhere reasonably early and one in Kefka's tower, as far as I can
Yeah, I definitely found that one. I didn't find the other one. I wish I didn't unplug my headphones in the early part of that seed because my emu crashed on me, so I had to restart. But it ended up working out. It ended up working out because that gold dragon fight was just going to drag on.
Yeah, you were fighting that gold dragon for like 5 minutes, and then there was a weird looking reset. I guess that was a software issue, not a deliberate reset.
My emu crashed.
Oh, that sucks.
It was probably it sucks, but at the same time, it's probably for the better because Lord knows how much longer that fight would have dragged on.
Yeah, I think we worked out that it has about 30,000 health or something, so wouldn't have been a short fight, certainly.
No, they weren't scared. Yeah, and I didn't pay too close attention to what was in this seed, so I didn't see if dragons were scaled or not. Which apparently they weren't. So
yeah, I made that mistake as well.
No, I'm not blaming you. I'm blaming me for not reading the instructions.
Oh no, I'm saying I made that mistake also. I fought the blue dragon and died because I went, I'll just fight this dragon on the way.
Yeah, I'd hope that the storm dragon more or less being the second weakest of the dragons, that I'd be able to knock that out with the 10 thunder rods that I bought.
Yeah, apparently Fraggle Ragnarok to death with I think there's like a 2% chance or something stupid to morph a boss like that. So put on him, but I don't think anyone else was getting through that.
I had jokingly talked about trying to get a dragon with my Ragnarok at a low level, but I didn't actually try that.
No, this is probably the seed to try and do it, even if it was 2%.
Yeah.
I mean, you also had the gold hairpin, which halves magic, so that was a nice thing to have throughout the seed.
Was multi-esper on this seed? I guess it was. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's a more valid strat than I thought. I tend to assume that's not.
No, yeah. Generally, when you're looking for stuff like that, you're looking for an economizer. But gold hairpin does half. Cost half the magic, which worked for me considering you had flare, which for Edgar, that I had on Edgar pretty much throughout the seed, which was 23 or something like that, which was a normal cost of 45. So
Yeah, I think one notable thing about your run was you tend to run with the Moogle Charm off, so when you actually got to Doomgaze, I think you had the
Well-
least trouble out of anyone with it.
well, well, usually I try in the early part of the seed to get early levels if I can, and then I forgot I didn't have it on. because shuffling so much stuff around is like, geez, what do I need here? What do I need here? What do I need here?
Yeah.
And then I just forgot I had it off. It's like, oh yeah, I don't need it. I don't need to be walking around doing all these fights anymore.
Yeah, your levels certainly did you in good stead. I think you just got kind of unlucky with the checks you were doing.
A little unlucky with checks, and this seed was just ugly. But it worked out for me, I guess, in the early part, considering I got that safety bit because we all had to do. I'm assuming we all had to do.
Everything was locked behind Doomgaze, and then everything was locked behind getting Gao, I think.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's like doing the other stuff early before doing that ended up working out with just for the safety bit alone.
Yeah. So yeah, you got any other particular thoughts about that seed aside from the standard? Oh God, why?
Oh right, I put all the characters that I was going to send left side with holy weapons and ended up finding Goddess over there. It's like, well, this is utterly useless.
Well, would you like to feel better about that? Nobody wore since...
especially since the other side was Dad. It's like, come on, could you two switch?
Yeah, nobody wore had to leave Kefka's tower because he couldn't get through that Goddess. And then when he rearranged his party, he sent a solo Umaro to fight the Goddess, presumably by accident, and had to leave again.
Am I the only one that leave Umaro in their party?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, look. I figured this seed was going to end up being magic heavy. I was like, you know what? Let's leave the Yeti in and let the Yeti do Yeti things.
I mean, he was throwing 5 or 6K a shot for you at the end there, so
Yeah. He made some scary stuff happen. Some scary stuff happened at Final Kefka there for you.
Well, the thing was, he didn't even go into his goner phase, and usually he's in his goner phase, but it's like I had flared him so much that he had gotten under that 10k value, so that's when the ultimate counters start.
Oh yeah, I noticed you take 2 ultimas to the face and survive.
Yeah, so that was fortunate.
Yeah, that was your levels being shown off again.
That was just fortune on my side. But fortunately, he had gone into his goner phase, and it's like, oh, the seed's finally over. Thanks, game.
Hooray! Now we can all go punch Vaughn. With words. Well, yeah, just gonna finish up the stream here, so you got any final thoughts there, Siberian?
This is week 4, and next week's week 5, right?
That is correct.
If I recall looking at the early importance, we get Murder Child and then not Gogo or Umaro to start.
I haven't even looked at the flags yet.
Yeah, I kind of gazed at them early on, then that's what I remember for next week. So next week, we get Murder Child and not Gogo Umaro to start, so that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, not starting with him will be a step up.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind Umaro, it's just that, some
Yes,
seeds,
yes,
it's like,
yes.
yeah, other seeds, it's like, boo.
Yeah, he's a pretty situational character, but he can get you through some early problems. But, yeah, thanks for playing, man. GG's. Thanks for sticking it out like everyone else. It's a rough seed.
That was a very rough seed. Alright, GG's.
Alright, have a good one, sir. And we will see you in future races. So, I guess I'll see if I have the ability to throw a raid at Kirito, but first, go follow our runners, go follow our other people. I'm gonna have to type out a thing for Jones again.
Oh, you don't have to worry
Yes,
about
I
it.
do. And again, there's that survey, and there's some information. I imagine most people on the official channel know I've hit the game already. But if you want to play it, if you're not familiar with it, there you go. There's a link. Thanks for tuning in. This was a long seed. Thank you very much, Jones, for jumping in there when Javinator got screwed by the weather.
My pleasure. I didn't want to see you in here talking to yourself the whole time.
That's how I spend most of my time. But, yeah, so thanks for tuning in, everyone. Thank you to Ceiling Cat in the background doing the tracking for us. A little bit easier with the KGP seeds when they, whoever's doing the tracking can just do the seed themselves, but still not a job I would be very good at, just keeping track of who's gotten what. So, you know, as always, big thanks to the tracker, Ceiling Cat, and as always, big thanks to Atma for being amazing and making this game, and generally being awesome. So,
100%.
yeah, I'll see if I can throw a raid at Kirito, if peoples want to go watch them finish it out, or at least, you know, give them some encouragement. We'll try to figure out what was going on with their emulator in the future, but for now, that's going to be the end of the stream on our end. Good night, every peoples, and we'll see you next time.
Good night. Thanks for joining.